What's going on? 6 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Chiefs take down the Falcons 22-17 on Sunday Night Football as the Chiefs move on to 3-0. After not being able to convert on 3rd and 1 and Kansas City's 13-yard line, the Falcons went to Bijan Robinson, and he was unable to pick up the necessary yard. Tonight for football, we got a doubleheader on Monday Night Football. Jags and Bills starting at 6:30 from Buffalo, with the Commanders and Bengals kicking off at 7:15 in Cincinnati. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your own for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Boyd to the 35, and Boyd is tackled at the 33-yard line by McDuffie as the game ends, and Green Bay comes to Nashville and wins 30-14.
You heard it. The voice of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Keith, letting it be known there. The Titans suffer another loss, this time at the hands of their former backup quarterback, Malik Willis, their former offensive coordinator, Matt LaFleur, and the Green Bay Packers. Titans fall 30-14. They fall to 0-3 to start the season. Welcome in to Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We are here for all of you. Call it a therapy session on a Monday. Alongside our 11-year NFL veteran, it is Ramon Foster.
Yeah.
Robert Walsh will be fielding all the calls, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of them today back there behind the glass. I'm Kayla Anderson. Will Bowling has the day off, but we are here to break it all down. And what's next as they head into Monday Night Football at Miami? Ramon, how you doing this morning? Bird, how we doing?
And I think a whole lot better than some, okay? And for a lot of this fan base, Saturday night was better than Sunday afternoon. So not great, Caleb, but we're here for the entire recap. We're here for rehab, essentially, is what we are already. That's how I feel about it. That's just what we are. Everything that could not or that you did not want to see as a Titans fan, you saw. We were talking off air. You said Malik won, looked good. And not only that, Derrick Henry looked good yesterday too, Kayla.
Like, that's what I thought coming in this morning. I go, man, when it rains, it actually pours on Titans fans, because not only did we say, okay, they're not going to fall to the backup Malik Willis, who they traded away for a 7th-round pick, who, by the way, looks like he's playing the best football that he's played in his career.
I think it's the best game ever.
Absolutely.
Probably in all
career-wise,
of since,
right?
I'd almost probably say since college, too. I mean, in college, like, he had a complete freaking game yesterday. Absolutely, Kayla.
Exactly. And then I'm watching football as we get home and putting together a show, and all I see on X Twitter is the Derrick Henry stuff. And Derrick Henry's just balling out. And then Derrick Henry gets the game ball in the locker room. And I just think Titans fans, man, you got to take a deep breath this morning, because it did all hit yesterday.
Take a deep breath, Kayla. They might suffocate themselves at this point, okay? I mean, seriously, everything that happened this offseason, you got players that you said you needed, right? You hired a new coaching staff. You let go of a coach here that at the time I think had already ran its course as far as Raves go, right? You buy into the quarterback and surround him with weapons. You get into free agency. You make home run hits there. You check every box. You got very experienced coaches. You got an offensive-minded head coach. Defense. I mean, you go out and get some dogs over there too that you think can, fit your system. You got one of the hottest defensive coordinators to come here to be on your staff, and Denard Wilson also. So you checked every single box going into the offseason. Now, I can understand a good bit of probably what his fan base is. Well, why isn't it working? I can understand a lot of this fan base's frustration by saying, I've bought in. Heck, hey, Kayla, we've bought in.
We're not afraid to say that.
No, absolutely not. We've bought in, Kayla, as it pertains to what the expectations of this season, I don't say the franchise, this season should have been or should be, because it's still ongoing and you can still turn this thing around. But 0-3 is a hard pill to swallow with all the moves, all the newness, and everything else that has been surrounding this franchise. I didn't imagine 0-3. And more than anything, I didn't imagine this team losing with their starting quarterback and Will Levis, losing against the backup in Malik Willis and the Green Bay Packers. But we got 4 hours to break this thing down, and I can't wait to hear from everybody else on this too, Kayla. But
we do.
0-3 to start the season.
0-3 to start the season. We want to hear from you all show long. Like Ramon said, 4 hours to do it. So at some point, you can get in 615-737-1045. Call us. Let us know what you think as the Titans start the season 0-3. And I have a stat that is not the stat that you want in terms of history. Can you guess the last time the Titans were 0-3? Ramon Foster.
Last time they were 0-3?
Yes, to start the year.
I'd go. Let me go 2008.
Okay, you're close.
I'm close.
The last time the Titans started winless through the first 3 weeks of the NFL season, it was Jeff Fisher at the helm. It was 2009. And the team finished 8-8 and finished third place in the AFC South. The Tennessee Titans, when they have started seasons 0-3, and we're starting with that 2009 season, it was 2009, 2006, 2001, 1994, 1984, 1983, 1973. They were 0-3 in all those seasons to start. They missed the playoffs every single one of those years.
Yeah, and it's hard. Now it's the climb out. I've started off a season 0-4 in Pittsburgh. I think it was like 2012 for us. We started off 0-4, and we rallied the last like 6 out of 7 games of the season to finish 8-8 and did not make the playoffs. Those earlier losses came back to bite us. And that's what's happening right now is you're losing. You got 2 NFC losses, the Bears and the Packers at this point. You also got an AFC loss too. And in this situation right here, the claw out of the week-by-week stability, the week-by-week grind to get to that point to where you're even is hard. Because you're forever chasing. You're forever in that mode of feeling like you can't catch your breath.
No.
There's no second win really in the NFL unless you're that type of talented special team. So when it comes down to the latter part of the season and this playoff hunt and wild card races and stuff like that, it's tough. And for the players, it really bogs you down. Nothing goes right, and the first thing to go wrong, usually you're feeling like it's the end of the world. And again, it's 3 games in. But it feels like an eternity because with football, you have to sit on each loss for a week. And this one, you got to sit on it for a week and a day because you can't play until Monday night, which would be a national televised game. And all you can hope is not us. Don't embarrass us in front of everybody.
And that's what this team's got to be thinking right now. And I think Jeffrey Simmons even said it last night in the locker room. He said, now they're going to think that they can embarrass us at Monday Night Football.
Oh, heck yes.
That team is feeling that 0-3 record right now. And I'll say it, when I got in there with a flood of other media members after Will Levis spoke, because Callahan speaks first, then Will Levis, we get into that locker room, and no joke, Ramon, there were 3 guys that were actually talking.
No, it wasn't.
It was cleared out completely. Completely.
No. No. It was 3 guys.
Yeah, there were 3
available.
guys talking. Amani Hooker was obviously suffering a cut that he had to his eye, so he was dealing with something over in his locker. So he had not talked at that point. He had talked earlier, I think, to a couple other people. But a lot of us have to stay for Callahan and Levis, so we're not able to go into the locker room right away. But by the time we were in there, and I've been here for 8 years, I've never seen it that bleak.
Yeah. Well,
so
tough sledding, man.
It is tough sledding.
One word, and I've heard it being tossed around since yesterday, and is embarrassing. Embarrassed. embarrassed is the way you look at it. Embarrassed by the fact that Malik Willis came in and did a job. And I saw somebody in chat say, yeah, we said there was no way they would lose. I didn't think there was a way that this defense would allow what happened to happen from the first series and then continue throughout the duration of the game, too. Like, I didn't see that with what I've seen from the defense. So, yeah, hats off to Malik. Hats off to Matt LaFleur. And, again, more credit to Malik for staying the course and figuring this thing out and not being discouraged. Because I'm going to be honest, the better-looking quarterback yesterday was in white and green.
And he was the third string here this year.
The better-looking quarterback yesterday. We're talking about your franchise starter. Your franchise starter. And Will Levis versus a franchise's backup. The better-looking and efficient quarterback yesterday was Malik Willis. Now, I'll say this also to back that up. We wouldn't have seen that version of Malik Willis here because Malik Willis would be a backup here. Will Levis is a starter. He's not hurt. Is he playing bad? Yes. But you wouldn't have seen Malik if he was here. So for the folks that said we should have kept him, Malik wasn't starting the football game yesterday.
He wouldn't have played.
It would have been Will Levis versus somebody else. Yeah. What we saw was Malik Willis get an opportunity in Green Bay, and they maximized all his talents, and he won the game as a backup there also. You got to think, he's still not Green Bay's franchise starting quarterback. But what I will also still give credit for, he was the best quarterback in the stadium yesterday on either side of the field.
Yeah, and I will also, Ramon, say I think Matt LaFleur, we talk about him because he was here for a short period of time as the offensive coordinator. I think he deserves a lot of credit for what he's doing with quarterbacks up there. I think when Aaron Rodgers left, a lot of people thought, they'll move on and maybe not be what they used to be. We've seen it with Jordan Love's development. We're seeing it in a quick time with Malik. Now, give a lot of credit to Malik because a lot of that does go to him.
And his O-line.
And his own line.
He had time, which is something we will also speak about as far as Will Levis
all throughout
goes.
The show.
Time. Okay, go ahead.
No, but I think Matt LaFleur does deserve a lot of credit for the creativity that he has put in his game plan over the last two games because it wasn't the same as game one with Malik Willis. We saw even more growth with Malik and being able to throw the ball a bit more. I mean, they had some big pass plays, too, that were damaging to this defense. So it's interesting, to say the least, and we want you involved. 615-737-1045. The call lines are open. We've already got calls. We'll get to some of those coming up next, and we'll hear from Brian Callahan. You said embarrassing, Ramon Foster. That came out of his mouth as well. That's come out of next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will here on 1045 The Zone.
Hey, it's Will Bowling here from my friends at Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance. TOA was established in 1926. It is the largest and most comprehensive orthopedic practice in Tennessee. Over 100 orthopedic physicians throughout Middle and East Tennessee who can take care of all your musculoskeletal needs. Guys, if you are a high school athlete, parents, maybe you're out there, your son or daughter has got some bumps and bruises, some injuries as they start the new school year and the new high school sports season. These are the folks that you need to trust. TOA.com. Remember that website and check out a location near you. They've got 29 of them, locations throughout Tennessee. They're the orthopedic physicians to NFL athletes. They take care of pros, and they provide more sports medicine coverage to high school and college teams than any other orthopedic group in the state of Tennessee. 11 orthopedic urgent care locations with walk-in availability 7 days a week for acute orthopedic injuries as well that just cannot wait. TOA.com, TOA.com. That's where you check them out. That's Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance at TOA.com.
Second and goal at the 5. Reed motions right. Keeping Willis around right in. Turns it down the field, and Malik Willis is in for a touchdown. Green Bay Packers.
Welcome back into Ramon, Kayla, and Will on this Reaction Monday. The phone lines, they open 615-737-1045. Tennessee Titans falling to the Green Bay Packers 30-14. They start the season 0-3. Why don't we just go straight out to the phone lines, huh?
Let's go right to
Let's
it, Kayla.
go. Let's go to Eric. We've got two Erics. We'll go to the first Eric. Eric, how you doing?
Okay, I didn't know if it was me or not. I just want to make sure.
It's you.
Well, good. It's a good thing the Vols handled business Saturday night. Otherwise, I'd be in a really terrible mood because I'm just kind of numb to the Titans at this point.
Oof.
I mean, at least, I'm assuming I didn't watch the fourth quarter because it got embarrassing.
Yeah.
At least Will Levis didn't roll the ball to the other team this week, I'm assuming. So at least we're heading in the right direction that way.
I mean, didn't roll it, but did kind of throw it there still. Is that two separart things?
He stared his receiver down, yeah. But it is what it is at this point. I'm numb to it. But offensive line was terrible. But here's one thing. I don't know if anybody's touched on it. They have. I apologize. I ain't listened to all the post-game stuff. But Big Jeff, I love the way he plays and everything else, but this is 2 weeks in a row where the Titans defense got off the field and he has a 15-yard penalty that extends a drive, and they give up a touchdown that essentially puts the game out of reach for the Titans.
Yeah.
And again, effort plays, I get that, but it's still you're the leader of the team. You are the face of the franchise, quite frankly, until they get a quarterback. But he needs to take some accountability. Like I said, maybe he did. I don't know. But that's not the biggest issue with this team, obviously. But it's certainly one that it's not a good look when your leaders are making those kind of silly mistakes.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good one. Hopefully the Titans can get it done, and go Vols.
Go Vols.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah, he did address that. Actually, Callahan addressed it first, saying, because it was asked if there's a discipline problem with those particular things with Jeff over the last 2 weeks. Callahan said no. He doesn't think it's a discipline thing. He actually was surprised that they called that on him. I don't know if I would agree with that. Jeffrey Simmons did own up to it.
It was the penalty. I'm going to be honest, for the folks that want to call and complain about that penalty, penalty is – here's the thing about the NFL. It was correct. Does it get called often? No, it does not. Does that same play happen often? Yes, it does. It happens very often. The thing about the NFL and their rules are, and I'll let you explain what Callie said too, you have to give your opponent an even opportunity to defend what you're sending at them. It's the same way that, look, you can't defend a horse collar, so we call that, right? It's the same way that a defenseless player. You got to give your opponent an opportunity to defend or counter whatever you're sending at them. And when you do the pull and shoot, you don't give your opponent, the down offensive lineman, an opportunity to really defend it. And it somewhat also can be a safety issue by pulling guys and having everybody run into the same gap, which it worked. I mean, they were that close to blocking it, but he also missed it. It was the right call. And it does happen often and does not get called. Again, I think it was a few things that happened in this game that I think Matt LaFleur probably chirped in the referee's ear. Hey, watch this, watch this. Those are the types of gamesmanship things that you do from time to time, Caleb. But what did Callie have to say?
No, Callahan is the one that said he was a little surprised that it got called, but he doesn't feel like it's a discipline thing with Jeff. As for Jeff, he admitted that in the locker room. He took accountability for it. So, the past 2 weeks we've seen that happen with Jeffrey Simmons, and he, knows that he cannot continue to do those type of things that are going to hurt the team. I think it's put on there even more of a platter because of what he did last week to hurt the team with those penalties. So it's just things that they've really got to clean up that are in the long run hurting this team, because that turned into a touchdown for Green Bay.
It did. And last week it turned into a touchdown also with the extension of that drive. If not, I think they still got points out of it with the hands to the face. So, yes, I agree. There has to be some cleanup. Your leaders do have to lead out front, and they got to be the ones that command the most out of everybody else while showing that they are giving their most and best too. It's when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
yesterday was an unnecessary event. He had already missed it, and maybe it was because guys were running through the gap on that pull and shoot right there. So
it's a tough one.
It's a tough one. Yes, it is.
Okay, we have the phones loaded, 615-737-1045. Let's go to Mike in Cleveland. Mike, you're on.
I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? It's rough. It's rough. Our ex, you know how you leave one girl because you see all her flaws and you get with the new one. Then the ex just got better makeup, better jeans on. You know what I'm saying? She started looking real good. Yeah. That was for sure Malik Willis yesterday. I'm not a Malik fan. And Moan, I agree with you 110%. You know, I don't think Malik would have been that successful here because this problem that we have is a whole team problem. We definitely came into the season with some unrealistic expectations because this is a first-year head coach. And I don't think Callahan gets the blame for these losses at all. But that is something that, you know, I'm just remembering this is his first year. It's gut checks. You know what I'm saying? From the fans to the players to him, it's gut checks that we still got some things to work on, clean up, and this is going to take more time than we expected. So if you're a Titans fan, we just got to be patient, hold on, and don't be looking at our exes like, you know, we want them back because they not coming back. So
no, they're not coming back.
They not coming back, man. So we just got to let it go. And, you know, like it just sucks right now. But, you know, still going to bleed two-tone, still going to tighten up and let these Browns fans up here make fun of me because they got one win. But, yeah, man, y'all stay up, man. Y'all stay blessed.
You too, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Drive safe out there.
Hey, you said that a little too quick. He's like, hey, you know when you break up with a girl, you know all her flaws. Yeah. You said yeah a little too quick.
Yeah,
Don't be
what's
cutting
going
them
on
loose.
over there?
No, I was of the mindset of the 80-20, right? I can deal with 80. If you giving me 80%, that 20%, I can live with that, right? That's the reason I felt where he was coming from more than anything. Bert was like, you dumped him because of the 20%. The 20% was, he had bad socks or bad feet or her toes weren't what you want them to be. Like, the 80 is what Mike is missing. So I was sympathetic for his loss of the 80%.
Known breaker upper over toes, Ramon Foster.
Ramon Foster, yes.
No, man.
Oh, goodness. Let's go out to, it's like picking from a whole thing here.
Real quick. Mike brought up the fans, man. Yesterday at the stadium.
Oh, yeah, we have a whole thing on this.
This is not getting on the fans at all, but it is, in a sense. Screw it. Nick Saban said something last week about Vanderbilt.
We all got to take accountability.
Nashville is a destination city. It is.
It's a hot spot.
It's a hot spot. Any fan that can come here, Caleb, Bert, y'all seen them. They flooded.
Yeah, sure.
They do. Nick Saban said something about Vanderbilt as far as like it's the easiest place to play at because you can fill up their stadium. Mm-hmm. Tennessee Titans fans. It was almost directed at this fan base in a sense, too. And I understand commerce and capitalism on, if they going to buy it, I'm going to sell it. But that lower bowl and club section was packed with Green Bay fans. Like, your stadium's becoming a destination for other teams to come have a party at. And you got a lot of rich teams this year, fan bases, that are going to come here. And I understand losing doesn't help you walk into the stadium or construction and traffic and everything else. But Nick Saban's comments yesterday after the game, after watching that lower bowl move down to the field to celebrate with their team, had me thinking that Nick Saban was actually talking about Nissan Stadium, too.
Yeah, well, you could group that in at this point, three games in. At this point.
And I get losing don't help. I get it. Bad ball don't help. But you don't want your home stadium, Kayla, to be run by opposing fans.
Especially when you've got so much personnel new on this team. You've got a new head coach. Like, this is a new team, too, and they're introduced to, this type of atmosphere, which has been majority opposing fans, at least being loud. The Green Bay Packers fans were loud.
I thought they were going to have to go on the silent count.
It was insane.
I thought the Titans were going to have to go on the silent count for a minute.
Because you were down there.
Yeah.
I was up in the press box where I heard it. So I don't know if it was any different down there as a player if you're hearing it.
Yeah.
But it seemed like at times you were cheering for the wrong team.
Yeah,
But it was really just the Packers fans.
I see the comments. Matt Moon's like, you can blame the fans, but financially speaking, yeah, I get it. I know the finances
Sure.
of it, for sure. I ain't minimizing that at all.
No.
But you're one of 32 cities with an NFL team.
It's just
It's my
it's
point.
just tough
It
to
is.
see. And I get it. Like, you know, these tickets are on sale. These fan bases from out of town come to destination places like this. This is probably got to be one of the more top destination places in the NFL now because the city's grown so much. But it is still tough to see.
And it got brought up in the chat, in F&M Bank chat. You can catch us on YouTube. Derek Morgan came out yesterday, and I know it was a bad time for him to be introduced.
In the fourth quarter.
In the fourth, but I hated that for him.
That was tough.
I'm moving on, but I hated that for
Yeah.
him because it wasn't his fans that was cheering for him. It was just like, it was a bad moment for her. Not him personally, but just that happening right there. Yeah.
Let's go out to Bam in Nashville. Bam, you're on with RKW. What's up, man?
Oh, boy. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Yeah. It's so tough to kind of like, Ramon, you know, we kind of do this sad boy thing every year.
I was, yeah.
We kind of do this therapy thing every year to where I have to call you and you talk up me and about 20 other people off the ledge. Like, y'all should really be psychiatrists and doctors. Y'all need to have, like, doctors, EDS in front of your names by now. But it's like, yo, man, like, I just don't get it. Like you said, we all were bought in at the top of the year, and it's like, not every year, these first 3 games have just been like, yo, Will, bro. I know it ain't all on Will, but it's just kind of like, man, everything that could have went wrong yesterday, it just seemed like the life just got sucked out of that stadium. Like, 1, the Packers fans was louder than us. 2, Malik looked like Cam Newton back in the day. It's just kind of like, bro, it was just so many things. And you're like, yo, okay, our starting quarterback, okay, we're going to get this together. This is going to come out. We started off with a good drive, and it's like everything just, like, fell apart. And it's just like you almost feel like this team is falling apart the way the end of Vrabel era. It's kind of like we're just picking up from there. And it's like, how do you stay, you know, confident? You know what? If we won on Monday, if we win this game Monday night, I don't even know how that's going to make you feel. Maybe that could be the start of a building block, but it's like you literally don't know how to feel because it's like, man, you get so invested in this team. You get so invested in believing in what this can be and looking at the players and looking at all this, is that, and the next. And it's like, okay, you don't want to bench Will, but do you want to throw the season away too? Like, do you still want to fight? Like, what do you do? I don't know, man. There's so many questions and so many. This is why we call in and cry, complain, and all this, because none of this makes sense. It's like diabolical to me at this point. But, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
You being a real fan, I guess you just got to ride till the wheels fall off, right?
Yeah.
You got to.
Yeah.
And some fan bases have it harder than others. I get it. Like, my teams, they haven't done historically well in the past either. And it's almost like this is a continuous trend. Like you said, I think people thought once Mike Vrabel was gone, maybe this was a fresh start, but fresh starts usually with a brand new coach and a brand new staff and a brand new, you know, group of players. They don't always start, you know, where everybody thinks they should.
Yeah.
And I think that is something where we have to think a little bit about the realistic expectations for this team. But what makes it hard is that this team has played games where, at least the first 2 of the season, where they could have won the game.
Very wonderful.
So that's what's frustrating, because you see the team has parts that will work together, but it's not so far. And I think that's what makes it even more frustrating for fans.
It is. And you speak about, you know, parts of it. That's the way I felt like the O-line was first couple of weeks. Like, man, this side was good, that side wasn't. This side was good, this side wasn't in week 2. This week, it was all bad, Kayla.
Oh, it was all, everything was falling off the car.
Yeah, there was nothing good about it this past weekend. And defensively, to open up the script the way Green Bay did against this Titans defense, did not see that happen. I did not have that on my bingo card. They hit them with some RPOs, they hit them with some runs, they hit them with some deep shots, and went in for a very convincing first drive of the game. I did not, Kayla, at any point last week have that on my mind as far as what this defense was going to allow to happen. And I don't think it was no penalties behind that first drive. It was just straight boots to behind is what it was. Okay, belt to butt is what it was this past weekend in that first drive. And it's inexcusable on how it went down, and then there wasn't much adjustment afterward in the sense of how it continued to move downhill for this team. So tough. But I will say, with that being said, the defense, in a sense, I guess you got to include Jeffrey Simmons' penalty, too, that gave up more points, even though you can count that as a special teams blunder. Again, 13 points essentially given up. Then you got the 7 from the special teams penalty that Jeff got, and the pick 6 is 14 right there that's gone. Let me ask you this before we go more callers too. When that pick six happened, and it went to 17-7, did you have in your mind like it's going to be hard to win this game? Like because of the past couple of weeks of not really scoring and being efficient on offense?
It's interesting because I think, and I said this last week about Will Levis, what I needed to see from him. And for me, it was just no boneheaded mistakes.
Yeah.
In terms of these, thoughtless, not having the right wire in your brain moments that we've seen in the first 2 games. When he was picked off when Jair Alexander jumped the route, and by the way, Jair Alexander is a premier cornerback.
He's an
he
all-pro.
read that perfectly. I think it was a tough play for Will Levis, but at the same time, I still kind of was like, okay, this is still a gettable game for me because the defense they had not started off right, but I'm like, but this is a defense that can somehow stop the run at some point. They've figured it out in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
So I'm like, at least, we could see this defense put their foot down a little bit on the throttle, but that never happened.
No.
And then, it took a whole, half for them to score again, for the Titans to score again? So that's when I think towards the end of that half, I was like, this is going to be tough for this Titans team to rebound. But I wasn't as mad at Will for that interception as things I've seen in the past 2 games from him, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It was tough.
It was still not great.
Not great.
I'm not saying it was great or excusable.
But did you feel that they could muster out 17 more points to win that game at that point?
I honestly did.
You did?
Yeah, I did feel like there was a chance for them to come back in this game, and maybe that wasn't giving enough credit to Malik Willis at that point, because it's like Willis looked good.
He was their backup.
But he's still, and I'm just thinking the defense is going to adjust. The defense is going to adjust. At some point, it's going to click for them. And it didn't.
Yeah.
And Malik continued his, great game. His career day.
He knocked on every door.
He absolutely did.
He knocked on every door and said, come outside, I got to talk to you about something.
Yeah, and it was the storyline that nobody wanted to happen. And what did happen?
I'll tell you what also did happen. 8 sacks. That also happened too.
And we'll get into plenty of that because the offensive line is definitely going to take some blame in this one. They're one of the worst lines right now in terms of giving up sacks in the NFL. 615-737-1045. The call lines are open. We've got tons of calls to get to. We will get to your calls. Tell us how you're feeling this morning after the Titans fall to the Green Bay Packers 30-14. It's RKW here on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Will Bowling. It is the greatest time of the year again. Kickoff is here. Football, it's all the way back. Over 1 million fans across 33 states got in the game last year by competing on Underdog Fantasy. Guys, I'm having a blast with this season. You went up to 1,000 times your money by just choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats, whether that's touchdowns, passing yards, and more. It is literally that easy. And making picks on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code WILL, WILL. Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash champions entry, plus up to $1,000 of bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code WILL, WILL, to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 or older and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Levis under center from the 1. Play fake. Looking. Throwing in the back of the end zone. Touchdown! Titans! Nick Bennett!
Welcome back into RKW on this Reaction Monday. Taking your phones all morning long. We got 4 hours to do it. Oh, Ramon, I feel like it is a tough start here with an 0-3 start. You go on the road for Monday Night Football, and then you have a bye week.
Yeah.
And that just makes me think, if you can't muster up some sort of win on Monday Night Football, mind you, in front of a national audience where nobody wants to get embarrassed,
Right.
there might be some changes made in the bye week.
Probably so. Probably so, because at some point you got to figure out what helps you win. And right now, what they've thrown out there is not helping them win much at all, whether it be protection, whether it be turnovers, whether it be yesterday the defense getting fully exposed. You know? So there has to be a recipe somewhere inside the building. I just don't know where it's at, whether that be at the quarterback position. I don't know what's going to happen at right tackle. Like, I don't know where the answer is.
Right.
Because both of the guys yesterday fell in grades. Period, Kayla.
Yeah, it was a fail by the offensive line indeed. And a lot of that did not help what Will Levis was able to do in that game. This stat courtesy of our good friend Teron Davenport. Will Levis with 7 turnovers this season. That includes 4 interceptions, 3 fumbles lost. That's the most by any quarterback through the team's first 3 games in the last 3 seasons. The quarterbacks to have as many or more through 3 games came in 2021. Can you guess who those 2 QBs were?
2021, Mac Jones and Kenny Pickett.
Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's not good company.
That is not good company. In the fact, too, that Trevor Lawrence, who will play tonight on Monday Night Football against the Bills, has not had a great start to his season as well. So an interesting stat on that. We'll get to more of the offensive line talk in a moment, but let's go out to the phone lines, I should say. And let's go to Greg in Huntsville. Greg, you're on. What's up?
Morning, Greg.
Hello?
Yeah,
hey, Greg,
there he is.
Hey, this question is for Ramon. You play professional football, right?
Right.
Can you explain to me, I want you to listen to me, can you explain to me how a quarterback can get traded to another team no more than 3 weeks? And you know how hard it is to learn a new system. And then he plays like he's been playing in it for a while. He don't have no bonehead plays. And you know the system is kind of hard to learn anyway. And for a quarterback to do that, can you explain that to me?
Yeah, I can. I'll start with this.
Thanks,
I think Malik's protection was number one crucial thing to his play yesterday. I thought that was awesome by him. I think also Matt LaFleur called a flawless game for Malik Willis yesterday, too.
Another flawless game
Again,
for him.
another flawless game for him, too. Week 1, you allowed him to understand, okay, you don't have to do anything to help us win. We got you. He used his legs. He threw passes that were throwable and catchable balls for him. But it also boils down to the system that they have in place, too. Everybody knew Malik had talent. It's a matter of how can you get it out of him? I think Green Bay's system in which they run up there, it was probably more fitting for what Malik Willis is capable of doing, which is why also, too, Greg, they traded for Malik Willis because he fits their system. I don't think necessarily the system here was being built for a Malik Willis to be successful in. This system here, Greg, let's keep it a buck, is being built for Will Levis's success. Look at even Coach Callahan's background. He's not had to coach a Malik Willis type of guy. He inherited Malik Willis. Now, look at what Green Bay has ultimately had since Aaron Rodgers. They've had mobile, move around the pocket type of quarterbacks. They're going from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, and they also got a very similar guy in Malik Willis. It's system at this point, but it also boils down to protections. The Titans sacked Malik. The Titans sacked Malik 3 times yesterday. I think 2 of them were setups. I think at the end of the first half.
2 of them were Kenneth Murray.
Yeah. Well, he dogged on one, and then the one where I think Jeff ended up getting him, that was a setup for a field goal. Malik simply chose not to throw the ball. He moved around, boiled the clock down, and then they kicked the field goal before halftime. Remember that one?
Yes.
It was safe, clean ball for him, and that's what they did. Protection, and they also ran for 188 yards.
And remember, Jeffrey Simmons did say last week, no one runs on the Titans. And that's what I think is also tough today, to go back and think of some of the stuff that you say and then you prepare for a former quarterback, and it was their worst performance of the season by far. I know we're only 3 games in, but they took like 8 steps backwards.
Yeah, and here's another thing. This is a week-to-week league.
Yeah.
As far as it goes. Malik, I will say this. Malik's done something that Will Levis hadn't done. He's won 2 games back-to-back. Will Levis has yet to do that, okay? And the other thing is this, too. It's a week-to-week league. You can be, my coach, my old coach, used to say, it's a fine line between drinking wine and squashing grapes. It's a very fine line in this league. Malik is on a heater right now, and I don't know if he's going to play anymore, if he needs to just stop and be bubble-wrapped up. But you also got Minnesota that absolutely blasted Houston yesterday. See what I'm saying? Like, it's a week-to-week league. You got to figure out what's going to work for you. And right now, I don't know if this team knows what works for them in order to get wins, because they simply don't have one right now. But, Greg, to answer your question, protection was good. Run game was phenomenal for the Green Bay Packers yesterday. And Malik took what was in front of him. And honestly, to give credit to him, he dropped some dimes yesterday, too.
He absolutely did. He had some big plays that burned this Titans defense. And we'll talk more about that at 7:20, but we're going to continue to take your calls all morning long. The Tennessee Titans fall into the Green Bay Packers 30-14. What's next for them? We'll continue to hear from Brian Callahan on what he thinks about the start of the season, called it embarrassing. Plus, I know a lot of you guys have asked about that Jeffrey Simmons holding penalty. We'll hear straight from the source as Jeffrey Simmons, and that's coming up next here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon and Kayla here for Window Nation, letting you know if you buy 2 windows, you get 2 windows free plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years with Window Nation. This past summer, a lot of your good AC probably leaked out of your old inefficient windows, man. Those old inefficient windows could be costing you hundreds of dollars a year in energy bills, Kayla. Simply need to go to Window Nation.
Yeah, because they are the window experts. Ramon, we tell you this all the time. They have installed over 200,000 windows. That's just last year alone. 96% of them, they require no follow-up service. So once they get in there and they install those windows, you're not going to have to deal with any checkups or check-ins on those. They have over 20,000 online positive reviews, so you can go check those out, and comprehensive lifetime warranties on the entire window, including the glass. So they are trusted by over 200,000 homeowners, and you can be one of them. All you got to do is log online to windownation.com to check out their sale that they got going on this month. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, plus no down payment, no interest, no payments for 24 months. You can just call them at 866-90Nation or go online to windownation.com.
What's going on? 7:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. A change of scenery and an injury gave Malik Willis a huge opportunity to show what he can do, and unfortunately it came against the Titans as the Packers win 30-14. Malik Willis finishing with 202 yards passing, 73 yards rushing, and a touchdown rushing and passing.
Second and goal at the 5. Reed motions right. Keeping Willis around right in. Turns it down the field, and Malik Willis is in for a touchdown. Green Bay Packers.
The Chiefs take down the Falcons 22-17 on Sunday Night Football as the Chiefs move to 3-0. After not being able to convert a 3rd and 1 in Kansas City's 13-yard line, the Falcons went to Bijan Robinson, and he was unable to pick up the necessary yard. Doubleheader headed into Monday Night Football. Jags and Bills start at 6:30 from Buffalo. Then the Commanders and Bengals kick off at 7:15 in Cincinnati. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Levis, empty backfield. 3 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. Levis throws right, pass is intercepted. It's going to be taken into the end zone by Jair Alexander, who stepped in front of DeAndre Hopkins.
Welcome into this Reaction Monday on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, alongside our 11-year NFL veteran, our Vol for Life. It's Ramon Foster. We've got Robert Walsh behind the glass taking all your calls this morning. I'm Kayla Anderson. Will Bowling is out for the day, and we are here for you, the people, whether you are driving to work and you are sad, as it is kind of overcasted right now, or if you just took the day off because, dang it, maybe you were feeling like you needed a day off after that loss to the Green Bay Packers last night as the Titans fall to 0-3 on the season. And Ramon, we were talking about this in the break. I know that fans talk about being able to afford to go to games, and I completely get that. And tickets everywhere, everything is inflated these days, right? Yeah. And it's tough. But it was tough yesterday with Green Bay being, I don't think just there, they were very, very present in terms of boisterous. And it surprised me at times. But I think the biggest thing that happened where it let them take over the stadium is after that Jeffrey Simmons crucial holding penalty, right?
Well, a pull and shoot.
Yep, and then the Packers got the automatic first down. They scored, so it was 27-7 at that point, Ramon. And I saw a huge wave of fans. It was like an exit of the stadium. And you were asking me if I felt earlier on if it was going to be out of reach with that Will Levis interception. No, but I felt at that moment things could get out of hand.
Yeah.
And Titans fans obviously agreed.
Yeah, they did. And it became a Green Bay Packers home game. It's essentially what it was. Again, I thought that they were going to go on the silent count for a little bit because they'd gotten so loud there, but I get it. The play on the field doesn't make you want to stay around. It doesn't. I think I know a lot of fan base had high hopes. It was a lot of introducing of a head coach. There's a lot of movement. You got some star players. You hit free agency the way you wanted to. And here's the other thing too. You got a corner, right? You end up getting a first round tackle. You ended up getting some name guys that can fill seats up. But winning keeps you there.
That's what keeps you there.
And that's the problem right now. So I ain't gonna say I don't get it. Do I like it? No, absolutely not. If this is my home stadium and I had to play in front of a crowd that was the opposing crowd, more of the opposing crowd, as a player, I feel a certain type of way. But you know what the fans will probably say to me? Do better. Yeah. Play better. And I get that.
And you can't continue to make mistakes and things right now when there is so many weaknesses with this team in different aspects that as a guy who's leading the team in Jeffrey Simmons, and whether or not Brian Callahan said, he doesn't think that should have been called, or, that doesn't get called all the time in terms of that defensive that holding penalty that he had on the special teams play, it still got called.
Yeah, it did.
And you're still, in my eyes, you're under a little bit more of a microscope, especially the week before you had the penalty that hurt this team. So this is what Simmons had to say about that penalty that he had that hurt the team.
Give me 1 second. I didn't know we were going to audio. That's my fault.
My bad, Bert. So this is what happens on a day where you've got all this stuff going on, and the phone lines are crazy, and we're good. So let's go to Jeffrey Simmons on that penalty that ended up having the Packers go up 27-7.
I mean, he said I grabbed him. I mean, he had to be paying attention to me. Like I said, it's to be avoided. One of them plays that me and Art were talking, and we just came off on the guard. We kind of just knocked him back the first field goal, and that one, I was like, I'm gonna try to grab him, but I kind of made it too obnoxious. Of course, they pay attention to stuff like that. So, he called it, and quite frankly, he missed the field goal, and they ended up getting a touchdown on the drive. It's small things like that where it can't happen, especially in a critical situation like that. Especially when he missed the field goal. So, just can't happen.
Yeah, it can't.
He owned it.
He owned it, and you got to, like Will Levis, we were telling everybody last week, he can't make another flick six or a boneheaded play like that. Jeffrey Simmons has got to cut down on these penalties, too, that are costing the team. So
they've cost drives and given up points. They've cost the other team to have successful drives and points out of it. Yeah, got to clean that up, Kayla.
Let's go out to the phone lines. Dustin in Laverne, and he has a thought on the attendance. Dustin, you're on with RKW.
Here we go.
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Morning.
Thanks for Reaction Monday. Probably most of us Titans fans are about numb at this point. We don't really, we have much reaction. It's all good. But they do make it a little bit too easy to decide not to go to the games because – I'm trying to get these new tickets, and the PSLs are going to be nuts at the new stadium. And they're not really giving us a whole lot for old. But with that said, I've sold 3 games worth of tickets to start the season, and I've already paid for my entire next season.
Wow.
Whoa.
So if they're going to make it that easy for us not to go, then I hate to say it. If you're not going to play well,
Yeah.
doesn't help you out too much either. So, but I'm still a fan for life. I love my boys. I'm just trying to get ready for the new stadium and all the stuff that's going to come along with that. So,
understood.
Good point, Dustin. Very good point. Thanks for calling in this morning.
Dustin's 3 for 3.
So
I told you,
he's selling them to opposing.
I'm not mad at the capitalist side of things. I get it. I do. And again, we're speaking in Pittsburgh, I know this. The tickets are expensive. They are. Almost like every NFL stadium, okay? But if you were building a new stadium, as he just alluded to, and you were trying to get ready for it, and you have the mindset, well, the product ain't good currently, so let me make my money already. I hate that. I do, but I understand that too.
And I think that's tough too for, people who are thinking about PSLs and all of that in the new stadium. They need this team to be right before then. This team needs to get right.
Winning cures all. But yesterday, 8 sacks, 3 turnovers, 33 yards rushing for the Titans on the ground, and they gave up defensively, the Titans, 188 rushing yards to the Pack. Losing recipe, Kayla. And again, Jair Alexander had a great read on that pick 6.
It was.
Only thing maybe D-Hop don't drift back. I don't know what it was, but he sat.
Did Will Levis feel pressured to give it to D-Hop since we've been looking for more out of him?
I do think a good bit of that plays a part in it. I've said this for a minute, and I'm not blaming Will Levis. I'm blaming the idea that, look, at some point you got to grow up and say, I got this show. They threw me the keys to the franchise, and I got to figure out what's next. Last year was easy for Will Levis to build a relationship with DeAndre Hopkins for this reason. He didn't really have nobody else.
It's all he had.
he didn't. But this year, you can't say you don't have Calvin Ridley, right? You have Tyler Boyd. You got a plethora of tight ends that you can throw the ball to where you don't have to force feed D-Hop. Now, here's the thing. D-Hop was good down the stretch in that 2-minute where D-Hop can get open. But the floor of the offense, you don't have to open up serious and say, I got to force it to him on timing routes. And if you look back at that play, and I watched it probably 8 times back-to-back last night, just trying to see what Jair Alexander saw. I had never played DB. I'd love to hear Blaine later this evening on Blaine and Zach break that down. But he sat at the sticks. Will Levis, I guess, 3-step drop and came forward, and he jumped on it.
He jumped that right,
as perfectly as you possibly could as an all-pro corner.
Absolutely.
Maybe don't throw to that side.
And that's what I was to say. I mean, you're backed into your own end zone, too.
Yeah.
I mean,
But here's the thing. And here's another thing of mine, too. I know we got to head to break here in a second, is this, too, and we got a lot of calls. I think when you look at the way this offense is built right now, that Brian Callahan is trusting what Will Levis wants. I think it was brought up on Blaine and Zach that Will Levis loves the deep ball. And then y'all, Blaine and Zach, can correct me if I'm wrong. He loves the deep ball, so they've somewhat catered to trying to get that out of Will Levis. Well, get that incorporated into his game.
He only had like 2 yesterday.
Issue. He ain't got time to throw the ball. And if he doesn't have time to throw the ball, and defenses know he doesn't have time to throw the ball, guess what corners are going to do against these wide receivers? When they see him drop back, they're going to sit at the sticks. Yep. And at some point, because he has no protection and he's getting sacked yesterday 8 times, if I'm not mistaken, on the season, it's 15.
It's 15 on the season.
Second most behind
the Cleveland Browns.
The Cleveland Browns, right? If I know he doesn't have time to throw the quarterback because they broke down bad yesterday, then I'm going to sit on routes too. And that's what Jair Alexander did. And that's what good players do. That's what film tells you. I know that my D-line of the Green Bay Packers is good enough to get to you. You want to know why? Because they've done it in every game. And here they are again. I think the Packers are probably +9 on the season.
They're +7.
+7. So they've given it away a couple of times. -7.
Exactly.
I would sit on routes
Top
too.
to bottom.
Yeah, I would sit on routes too because this O-line can't protect.
Not right now, it can't. We'll continue the conversation. We'll also talk about this defense. What in the world happened with the collapse of this defense yesterday against a player they know very, very well in Malik Willis? We'll answer that question. Field your calls. That's coming up next on RKW here on 104.5 The Zone.
You deserve all the comforts of home, including endless hot water at your fingertips. What's going on? It's Will Bowling here from my friends at Lee Company. Tankless water heaters powered by new recirculation systems save energy, money, time, and space. Lee Company has a limited time offer of $750 off a tankless water heater when you purchase a recirculation system. To make the heater even sweeter, qualified buyers receive 18 months of 0% financing. You take advantage of this offer today. Call my friends at Lee Company at 615-567-1000 or go to leecompany.com/promotions to get $750 off a tankless water heater. You get great deals like this all the time with Lee Company. You trust the folks that have been trusted here in this community for 80 years. They know how to do business the right way. They're open 24/7, 365. The moment something goes wrong, they're going to take care of things for you over at Lee Company. 615-567-1000, online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need.
Play fake. Deep drop. Willis looking in trouble. Sack! Kenneth Murray!
Welcome back into RKW on this Reaction Monday. Tennessee Titans falling to the Green Bay Packers 30-14. We've got calls still hanging out here. Thanks for being patient with us today. Let's go out to Corey in Hendersonville. Corey, you're on with RKW.
Hey, thank you guys. Hope y'all are having a good morning. I know it's not always fun dealing with, sad boy radio calls every Monday morning, but not all heroes wear capes, and we appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Corey.
Thanks, Corey.
I just want to start off before we get into the negativity. The positivity is I got lucky enough to land a Nick Vannett and a DeAndre Hopkins anytime touchdown score bets last night.
Boom! Congratulations on that.
I'm sure that the Nick Vannett one paid off. Goodness.
Go off.
I was looking at tight ends. I was like, let me look at Chig, let me look at Vannett, and I happened to hit Vannett, so that was pretty fun.
That's big.
But I wanted to talk about stats for a second. I know stats don't always tell the whole picture. Levis had 2 interceptions yesterday. One of them should have been avoided. I felt like he was looking down Hopkins on that play, and that's probably why he got picked. But the other one was just, like a lob to try and, get downfield toward the end of the game. I felt like that one doesn't really tell as much about, his turnovers. But as far as the sacks are concerned, 8 sacks. I don't know if you guys have the breakdown on how many of those were attributed to the offensive line versus to Levis in this game and over the course of the first 3 games.
Okay.
But I wanted to know if you guys have a breakdown as to who allowed which sacks.
So I can tell you this, and thanks, Corey, for your call. PFF grades and what usually you can tell what's been, delegated to Will Levis or the line, those come out probably within the next hour. However, Ramon, there is a stat that Bert sent us this morning where it shows the Green Bay Packers linemen who got what pressures.
Yeah, this is on Twitter right now. Rashawn Gary, here's the whole breakdown of it, man. It's kind of depressing, so y'all bear with us for a second. All right, Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Devontae Wyatt all generated a team-high 4 pressures yesterday, while nine other Packers also recorded at least 1 pressure in the Packers win over the Titans. In total, 12 Packers defenders recorded at least 1 pressure, tied for the second most in a game by the Packers defense since 2018. Green Bay sacked Will Levis 8 times, tied for the most by any team in a game this season. Titans left guard Peter Skoronski allowed 7 pressures and 2.5 sacks on 44 pass blocks. That's a 15.9% pressure rate. Skoronski also allowed a 15.4% pressure rate this season, the highest among guards, I guess, with the minimum. So, and also NPF, if I'm not mistaken, gave up 2 himself. I think
He gave up 1. And I think Jalen Duncan gave up 2.
Jalen gave up 2 in the short window right there.
At the end.
The way NPF got beat was
pathetic.
It was bad. Yeah, it was pathetic.
That?
Yeah, it was low.
Sorry, but I'm not going to try to hold back on that one.
Will Levis, I think, stepped into one where coverage got him. I can give maybe one of those to coverage, but yesterday was a good bit of just whipping going on, okay? It was boots to butts is what happened yesterday, okay? And there's no other way around it. They pressured the heck out of him. They folded. NPF whiff.
He fell to the ground, Ramon.
Fumble was bad. And here's the other thing, too, behind it. And it's for public consumption because there's people in the stadium that can see it. But after NPF got benched, as a player, and I get on my middle school kids that I coach about this, you always have your helmet in hand. If you're up and you're active and you can play, helmet in hand. He got benched yesterday, and I think it was a sigh of relief. He left his helmet on the bench. And I think after Jalen Duncan's second sack that he gave up, they were probably going to put NPF back in. He didn't have his helmet in hand. They were on the far end of the field, and he had to run to the opposite end to grab his helmet. That was by far one of the most unprofessional things I've seen. The level of giving a damn is so low with what I've seen out of him as a professional that it worries me that it worries me that you're putting other people's lives or careers at risk because your level of care. And I know a lot of folks, and we got so many calls. I promise I'm going to get off this soapbox. But here's my thing about the game of football. especially when you play old line. One, is a hard job. It is. It's no plays off. You get no praise. Only stat line you get is start. So if you make a Pro Bowl or All-Pro, what do you get as an offensive lineman? So why would you give anything back? And as it pertains to becoming a starter in this league, it's bothersome to me when you have guys, and I know you can do what you want to outside of the game. I don't care if you rap, act, break dance like the girl from Australia, okay? I don't care. But at all times, we know you because you play football. You need to do that football thing. So you becoming a fantasy football expert and not a great moment for you in your career.
It's not a good look.
It's unacceptable.
It's just not a good look.
Especially when you follow that up by saying, I can do what I want to, or not just need some dog. Kaylee, you had the audio from him this week.
Yeah, it's on my
right?
Twitter.
You can't go out and take these outside ventures on being fantasy experts, and then you have a game like you
if
just
you're not
did.
executing your first job.
And he ain't alone. The entire offensive line yesterday wasn't good.
Right.
But I had to get that off because, again, it's just when it's bad like that, you got to call it bad. And your level of caring has to go up a whole lot more.
Yeah, you're right. Nothing wrong said about that, Ramon. Let's go out to Eric in Nashville. Eric, thanks for holding tight with us today. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm hanging in, guys. I tell you what, it is not. Yesterday kind of summed up kind of what's just not been a particularly good week. After passing the background check on the job I was going for, I found out Saturday that the company I was going to go work for, the building is shut down.
Oh.
It's a retirement home, and which not only is bad for all the employees, but all the senior citizens have to be out of the building by the end of the year. So they've got 3 months to find someplace else to live. So, you know, about the only good thing yesterday was at least we didn't get a punt block yesterday. And also, guys, my birthday's this week, so probably be a little bit better move, but I just basically got to go through the process of looking for a job again. And Ramon, I was going to tell a dad joke today, but with the way things are going, I'm not doing that. I'll say that for another time.
Oh, we had all the jokes we needed yesterday, Eric. we good, and the chat is glad to see you calling in too, Eric. Man, we hope your situation get a whole lot better, man. They whistle for you.
Well, I appreciate it. It's good to hear from the other Eric and Mike and Bam and some of the other callers. But just a few observations. First of all, before I get to the game yesterday, I got to say this. I hope and pray we don't hear anything about Will Levis getting harassed on phone calls or social media and all that type of stuff like he did last week, or Jeffrey Simmons, or people calling and harassing the coaching staff, or people going to their homes and showing up if they find out where they live. When you start doing that stuff, I mean, come on, guys. It's football. I love football just as much as anybody. But I'm not going to call somebody and I'm not going to show up to your house if you're not playing well. That's just ridiculous. So that stuff needs to stop. So, guys, I just want to say, about yesterday's game, I agree with y'all what y'all said about the offense, and I don't know if Will Levis – Malik Willis. See, I'm just so just flustered right now. Malik Willis would have succeeded with the situation here with the sacks and everything. So people say, well, if he'd been here, no, it's just he's in a better system that's helping his skill set, and I'm so appreciative of him that he's getting that chance opportunity. In fact, he may wind up on another team next year because I don't think there's going to be a quarterback controversy between him and Jordan Love. But, guys, I know you're going to talk about the defense, and that's what I was going to get to yesterday. I was just so surprised and shocked at how horrible the defense was, guys. I tell you what, not only just the missed tackles, but the fact is where we had a chance, we had to get the tackles either for minimal game or even losses. The fact that they were breaking tackles. And give Green Bay credit for attacking our defense the way it is. And I just want to ask you, Ramon, and just get your thoughts on this, and you too, Caleb, about was it the fact that we just could not make the necessary adjustments to stop that when we were out of position? I mean, what was it? It was just so frustrating to see kind of just the play yesterday of the defense. And, guys, I'll be honest, I left the game when that 27-7 thing happened yesterday, too, when they scored that touchdown. I love the Titans. I love to continue to go to the game. In fact, guys, I was going to give up my season tickets last year. The only reason I got season tickets this year is because of Coach Dave McGinnis, Brett Ryan, and Dave McGinnis's lawyer who paid for my season tickets this year. And if he paid for my season tickets, I'm going to the game. And if I'm able to get a job and afford the season tickets for the next couple of years, I'll probably do that. But, guys, I'm just not going to be able to afford the tickets when we go to the new stadium. It's just out of my price range. But, guys, y'all take care. We'll talk to you again soon. Tighten up, and we'll talk again soon.
No doubt, Eric.
All right. Thanks, Eric. Yeah, that's a lot to unpack there. But speaking of the defense, he was asking Ramon, what happened in terms of not making adjustments. And I do want to go again over the numbers because Malik Willis had a career day. He completed 13 to 19 passes, 202 yards and a touchdown. Also ran for 73 yards on 6 carries and a score on the ground as well. Willis had 73 rush yards yesterday, which would be the second most by a Packers QB in a game since the merger in 1970. That came courtesy of Teron Davenport as well. This is a run defense that came in 10th ranked in rushing defense. They were allowing 92.5 yards per game on the ground. They allowed 188?
Yeah.
They've allowed, they were allowing 9+ yards rushing, which was also tied for 9th best. And they it's just like it imploded.
It did. Eric want to know what happened with the Titans in the first, in this game. What happened? They walked in and they punched the bully in the mouth. And it started the first series. Malik opened up. I think this was the biggest shocker of it all.
Absolutely.
Malik opened up with a short pass for 30 yards to Jaden Reed. And from there, it was a 4-yard run, then an incomplete. And then also, Malik Willis goes deep to Christian Watson for 30 yards. That's 2 plays of 30 yards for the Green Bay Packers. Explosion plays.
Can I ask you really quick
on
that, or add to that? Defense gave up 6 plays of over 20 yards yesterday.
Yes, and the 2 in the first drive right there. You had a run up the middle, try to get Josh Jacobs going, and then Malik Willis with a slick run to the end zone. That right there was the biggest shocker. They walked in on the yard and punched him in the mouth and said, now adjust. I think it was a master class by Coach LaFleur and just saying, okay, you think I'm going to just run the ball? No, watch this. And I think the adjustments was there. I just think the Green Bay Packers were a step ahead the entire game yesterday as far as how they counterpunched this Titans defense. You had the threat of Malik being able to run. And he showed that, too. There was also bad tackling yesterday, too.
It was really bad, especially in that first half.
Yes, it was. Bad containing. It just wasn't good. So when you ask, how did it happen? Well, knowing that the threat of the run game, and he was efficient, and then you also have Malik being able and capable of throw down the field. Explosion plays. How many explosion plays, Kayla? 6 over 30?
You had 6 over 20 yards yesterday.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
And we were speaking earlier, coming out of the third quarter, you had, what was the running back? Xavier Wilson.
Emmanuel Wilson.
Who
had 50 on the ground.
Had 50 on the ground. It was 2nd and 15 in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Denard Wilson drew up a beautiful blitz.
You showed me this. It's incredible. I wish we could show it.
Kenneth Murray was blitzing. You had Arden up the field, and Malik held, dropped it off to Emmanuel Wilson for a 30-yard touchdown on 2nd and 15.
It was like, is that Malik Willis? Yes, it is.
He didn't hurt the team. He did. He took what was right in front of him. So, Eric, I hope that answers your question.
I know. And that is a lot to unpack because it is something where this defense had been really good. It was the number 1 defense in the NFL after 2 games. That, obviously, they're stepping backwards. And also there has been the issues of 0 turnovers in 3 games. And that hurts their turnover ratio again. They're at -7. Through 3 games. That is the worst in the NFL. So things that you continue to question what the heck is going on. Let's go out to CJ in Jacksonville. CJ.
Uh-oh.
CJ now. Are you a Titans fan?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, CJ. Are you a Titans fan in Jacksonville? Is that how?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I just wanted to let it be known that what happened yesterday was an embarrassment. Like, how low can you go in this organization? Like, when we look back on this, it'll be like without context. Like, we would say, "Oh, it's just a normal loss." But like when you have the context, that's just how it is. I just don't understand how this just all came to conspire.
Yeah. It's a question that everybody's kind of asking after.
The first part of it is to be -7 on the season as far as turnover ratios. All right, you're
it's the worst in the league.
That's the worst in the league as far as turnovers go. Also protection, you're second worst as far as sacks given up, whether that be to the O-line or whether it be to quarterback and coverage sacks. That's also another way too. Another way is there's no defensive turnovers for your squad also. I get it. The answers we got to see. That's the reason we got 17 games to figure this thing out. But those are the first few nuggets to answer the why in it, And again, you're figuring out the quarterback. Is he going to be your guy moving forward? There's a lot. But I feel like in 1 year, especially with a new coach that can get his guys in a sense, as far as draft picks, I'm okay with the free agents. The free agents are supposed to be compliments. But as far as like creating a culture and setting up who your guys are, what your locker room look like, there's no doubt. We're watching what Green Bay has. They got 7 first-rounders on that defense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that slow again. The Green Bay Packers have 7 first-rounders on their defense. That's to let you know that like good teams build from the inside.
And it doesn't happen overnight, by the way.
It doesn't. Jair Alexander was a 4th or 5th rounder who's an all-pro guy. I have to look that up. But if I think about those things that we're saying is
premier cornerback at that, like you said.
And that's where this time around right here, this free agency cycle is going to probably take 2 more of those and 2 more draft periods too. You know, like that's where they are as far as trying to build this thing back.
He was
up.
actually a first rounder.
He was a first?
Yeah, he was a first
He's
rounder.
18 overall. That's on me.
Out of Louisville. In 2018.
You hit on the corner out of Louisville. I feel like we've had one of those in the past we didn't hit on.
Well,
Granted,
there
he
was
wasn't
by
a
the
first
name of
rounder.
Caleb Farley out of Vautech. That's no longer on the team.
Do this. I know. Back to the phone lines. Oh, we got to take a break.
Yeah, we will get back to your phone calls. That's coming up next on RKW. You can give us a call. Let us know what you're feeling about after the 0-3 start to the season. 615-737-1045. We'll get to your calls coming up next on RKW 1045, The Zone. Hey, it's Kayla Anderson with my friends at We Grow Hair. Just was telling you about my journey over the last few months, and it has been just that. I didn't really think at this point of my life I would be worrying about hair loss, but one morning just woke up and we have this obviously stream that goes on here in 104.5, the studios. You guys can see us, and I noticed one morning that my hairline looked like it was not as full as it used to be. And I decided I'm going to get in on this now before I just wait and hesitate. And I called my friends at We Grow Hair. I went in for a consultation. They were excellent, got me on a plan that was right for me. And that's the thing about them. They'll make sure that they cater to your hair needs. And did you know you can lose up to 50% of your hair before you even notice it? And that's why some of you can jump on it now. Or if you're already to that point where you need to fix it, they have procedures for that too. We Grow Hair's PRP platelet-rich plasma treatment. Those are one of those treatments that you can do. You're going to see hair growth over the next 2 months. On top of that, their FDA-approved laser therapy, super simple. You go in, takes 30 minutes, and that will also restore your hair over time. They also have their trademark hair transplant procedure. That will give you 3 times more hair in one procedure alone. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't think you just have to be a man. You can be a woman to have these issues as well. You can just call them at We Grow Hair at 615-376-6010. That's 615-376-6010, and tell them that Kayla sent you.
Packers 5 of 7 on third down. Empty backfield. Willis looking to the left, looking back to his right, flush, steps up, looking again, and he's going to be sacked! Big Jeff!
Welcome back into RK Dub. It's RK Dub, Ramon, Kalen, Will on a reaction Monday. So that always fuels people's fire even more. And there are plenty of you who would like to talk about the Titans this morning. So that's why we're going to head straight out to the phone lines. And that is where we talk to Shabazz, and he is in Nashville. You're on with RK Dub.
Morning, Shabazz. Paging
Uh-oh.
Shabazz. Is he turned up?
Aw. Dang, he was holding on there and didn't even get a chance to hop on with us. Okay, so we'll move on. Let's go to Thomas. We got Thomas in Nashville on the line. Wants to talk about the offensive coordinator. Thomas, you're on with RK Dub. What's up?
What's going on? I appreciate y'all taking my call. So, 2 things. We can blame Levis all day, but I feel like Levis played pretty decent outside. I mean, I know we say this every week. It's always one thing that we just say that, oh, well, he did have one crazy, whatever. Yeah. But he played good outside of that. And my concern is the routes. If you look at the routes that the receivers is running on a lot of those plays, I don't see how you could even expect to get anything positive out of that because, I mean, they're running curl routes on third down and stuff. Then with that offensive line on top of that, I mean, MPF, I got a nickname for him. There's no no protection fundamentals.
That's
my God. Like, I don't know. We need to talk more about the offensive line. Like I said, Levis, that was probably his best game yesterday. I know people don't agree with that, but I think when he had time to throw, he made better decisions. And where's Nick Westbrook-Akina? Stop putting Traylon Burks in. Because
I think it's time to make that switch.
Yeah, like Traylon Burks is, you need to get up out of there. But, I hang up and listen.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. And we're going to get into a lot of the offensive line coming up here in the 8 o'clock hour because it does need to be talked about. And we have the specialist here to talk about it. And so I agree, though. By the way, the no fundamentals.
Yeah, no protection.
No protection. That's even what MPF said after the game when was talked to in the locker room for a brief time. He said
talked yesterday?
He did actually talk to the maybe 1 or 2 people that were in here. Because, again, the locker room opens, but we have Callahan and Levis that are in the main conference room. So a lot of us don't go in there until after we speak to those 2. And by the time we were in there, all the O-linemen were gone. There are a couple people that were in there, though. MPF did talk, and he talked about the fail of the technique yesterday with that particular sack that he gave up. But, at what point are you you've got Bill Callahan as your offensive line coach. Why are we continuing to make these technique mistakes?
Pass protection, I've always said that it's an art.
Sure.
You do have to
That.
learn. Like, it's just like an artist who's learning how to paint or somebody who sketches. Like, you get better the more you do it, right? You get better. I'm not going to make an excuse for MPF, but he missed most of all last year, too. The rookie year wasn't the greatest, and you expected that second year jump, and he never had it. One, because he was suspended for the gambling, and then, of course, he comes back and he gets injured right after that. But, again, he wasn't great in London when he played against Baltimore, and he wasn't that great in Pittsburgh and when he got hurt then, too. So, again, he just might not have it just yet. But here's the thing, too. All this offseason, we talked about Coach Bill Callahan and technique and teaching. I do, and I'm a firm believer in technique, 100%. Every single day you should be working on your technique. And I'm all for blaming the coaches when it comes down to it. But if his technique has been proven to work in other cities before Bill Callahan got to Nashville, it might be somewhat the personnel, right? Like, either you're teaching it or you're allowing it. Like, I'm teaching you the right thing is what we expect from where Coach Bill Callahan is coming from. Mm-hmm. Like, you actually, like, executing it may be on you, too. And, again, I'll go back by saying pass protection is an art. You have to learn it. You have to dive into it. You have to believe what you've been taught if it works. And I believe that what Coach Bill Callahan teaches works. It's a matter of, honestly, it might be personnel at this point, figuring this stuff out as it pertains to them. Or what I just said yesterday, if I had gotten benched, me, okay, I didn't want to start a job 1 year, right? And I was ticked off, beyond ticked off. My family can tell you that, okay? When I saw him go to the sideline and chucking it up with guys on the sideline after he got benched, or not carrying his helmet, or having to run to the other end of the field to grab it after he was potentially about to go back in, then I think we just got a him problem. And I'll give the others grace. You got a rookie in JC. You got the left side. You got Peter in his second year figuring out. You got a new guy in Lloyd. And Dylan Radins is
somewhere in
the middle
there,
of all of it.
Right?
He's the middle child.
Floating up there.
He's the middle child at this point. But as far as that spot goes, with a guy that needs this year in the NPF, that's not a good look, Kayla.
It's not. And we'll see how much grace he is given, because I will tell you this, Brian Callahan said after the game that is not solidified at that point in terms of that right tackle position. After yesterday, after Jalen Duncan came in, and mind you, was no better. He gave up 2 sacks. But right now, that position seems to be not exactly MPF's moving forward. We'll see what happens with it. So let's go back out to the phone lines real quick and check in with Lem from Hendersonville. Lem, you're on with RKW.
Yo, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
can.
got you.
Okay, all right. So the first thing is, if we're going to have MPF out there, he got to put a grill in, get a do-rag, get some sort of toughness. He's just getting thrown around. If he was mic'd up, I know he'd just be, every time he got hit. But on the other side, we've got a bunch of tough talkers on the D-line, but Arden Key has been non-existent.
Yeah.
I feel like the majority of our sacks are coverage sacks. I don't really see them being skill-based. It's all effort, trying to fight to the quarterback, which I love, but we've got to have a balance where you can beat somebody one-on-one. The only thing Arden Key has done better than Weaver is set the edge, and even in some of those instances, he's getting flatlined. So, I just hope that we can find some sort of pass rush, because our linebackers were not able to be clean yesterday. Ernest Jones couldn't really get it going in terms of being able to play fast and fly upfield. You can just see a noticeable difference. But, I feel like we've got to get 2 tough left tackles, whether it's a big country boy or somebody who can have a do-rag or a drill in his mouth. Because right now we're in trouble.
Hey, Lem, real quick.
Now I'm picturing all of this.
On contact, what's the sound that's made?
Oh, no. Do we have that saved for our records? Thanks a lot, Lem.
Go on, Lem.
We're keeping that one, Lem, in our sound effects.
He got Bert to put his mic on real quick. What'd it say?
Oh, no.
It's like a bird getting hit by a car.
Can you imagine taking on a bull rush and he get hit? What does he do?
That's what you get here on RKW on a Reaction Monday, folks. Sound effects.
Tragedies are comedies, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Tragedies are comedies if you look at them like that. Bert, one more time on a bull rush.
More of that and more of your reaction. 615-737-1045. It's RKW. Ramon, Kayla, and Will here on 1045 The Zone.
Oh my gosh. I know he's still killing me with that call right there, Lim. Anytime you want to call back or anytime you want to go to Genesis Diamonds too, man, I'm here to tell you, if you want an engagement ring, Lim, after that sound, that your wife or fiance will be proud to wear, there's only one place to go, and that's Genesis Diamonds. Genesis has cornered the market on all the world's class designers, all right? These New York and Los Angeles-based designers are the best of the best. Every store wants them, but few stores make the cut. Genesis made the cut and has all the luxury brands, all the ones women are asking for. So don't settle. Get her a ring of her dreams at Genesis. And don't think you'll pay more either. Genesis has complete, ready-to-wear designer rings as low as $1,900. And of course, no jeweler can beat the price of Genesis diamonds. Whether you want a natural diamond or a lab-grown diamond, Genesis has the guaranteed best price and the highest quality. And only Genesis gives you a 120% diamond upgrade guarantee plus free service for life. All this with no commission salespeople, no pressure ever either. Nobody delivers for you like Genesis when it comes to quality, value, selection, warranties, or just simply customer care. Get the deal you deserve on your diamond. Genesis Diamonds, and now an expanded selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches. All the hard-to-find models, too. Check them out. Genesis Diamonds are located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
This is your Off the Track Racing Report, brought to you by Nissan of Rivergate.
From 16 to 12. We are now at the round of 12 in the NASCAR Cup Series as 4 drivers were cut from the playoffs following Saturday's night race at Bristol. Harrison Burton, Ty Gibbs, Martin Truex Jr., and Brad Keselowski were eliminated. Keselowski and Truex are former series champions, and Truex is in his final season of full-time Cup competition. Kyle Larson, another former series champ, led 462 of the 500 laps at Bristol to secure his 5th win of 2024, and reminding everyone that he is one of the favorites to win the Cup. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin needed a strong performance to qualify for the round of 12. Entering the race, he was on the outside looking in, but delivered a 4th-place finish to advance. The 3-race round of 12 begins with Sunday's Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas Speedway. Broadcast start is set for 2 p.m. Central on USA Network.
This has been your Off the Track Racing Report, brought to you by Nissan of Rivergate. Have you ever noticed how many car dealerships there are in the Middle Tennessee area? And they all tell you they have the largest selection and the best prices in town. I'm Liz Allison, and I'm here to tell you how to make your life easier. Head straight to Nissan of Rivergate. They have a great selection of new Nissans and the best service around. I know this because I'm on car 3 from Bob McCracken and his team at Nissan of Rivergate. Cut out the dealership hopping and make Nissan of Rivergate your only stop. Nissan of Rivergate, 1550 Gallatin Pike North in Madison. NissanofRivergate.com.
What's going on? 8:03. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. A change of scenery and an injury gave Malik Willis the opportunity he needed to show what he could do. Unfortunately, it came against the Titans as the Packers win 30-14. Malik Willis finishing with 202 passing yards, 73 rushing, and a touchdown rushing and passing.
Second and goal at the 5. Reed motions right. Keeping Willis around right in. Turns it down the field, and Malik Willis is in for a touchdown. Green Bay Packers.
The Chiefs take down the Falcons 22-17 on Sunday Night Football as the Chiefs move to 3-0 after not being able to convert on 3rd and 1 on Kansas City's 13-yard line. The Falcons went to Bijan Robinson, and he was also unable to pick up the necessary yard. Doubleheader tonight on Monday Night Football. Jags and Bills start at 6:30 from Buffalo, with the Commanders and Bengals kicking off at 7:15 in Cincinnati. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Levis takes the direct snap. Under pressure. Oh, and he is just buried. Lost the ball. It's rolling free, and it's been recovered by the Packers.
Welcome into RKW. That's Ramon, Kayla, and Will here on 104.5 The Zone. That's the masterful producing of the guy behind the glass, Robert Walsh, manning all the calls. We've got 11-year NFL veteran Ramon Foster in the building. Will Bowling is off. I am Kayla Anderson. And man, it has been a Reaction Monday as we already roll into hour 3 of the show. We are going to get to your calls in just a moment. Ramon, the Tennessee Titans fall to the Green Bay Packers 30-14. They go to 0-3 on the season, and they will head to Monday Night Football against the Miami Dolphins, who are having quarterback issues of their own down there just in terms of health. So we'll see how that all plays out this week. But continued struggles for this team, and I wanted to bring up a stat before I pass it over to you. I think people have been mind-boggled about not scoring 17 or more points this season. But really, if you go back for years in terms of offensive production, getting over that hump, the last 30-point game for a Tennessee Titans team came on January 2nd of 2021 versus Miami. 21.
Wow, Kayla. that's low right there, Kayla. And again, a lot of newness, a lot of youngness. You got a young quarterback trying to figure this thing out, but the play just hasn't been that good to the execution of it either, Kayla.
Can I say discombobulated in so many ways?
Yeah. We had a guy a second ago. We're going to get right back to the phone calls. You know, it's like we were messing with the sound that Bert just added to the soundboard right there on the NPF physicality. Bert, do you have that queued up real quick? Yeah, we were messing around with that. And he was like, seriously, I know we're joking, but what are we doing to fix it? Here's the thing. You have what you have right now. I'm not sure. We talked about him on a break, but is Chris Hubbard out there as far as finding somebody that's a vet,
free agent
that can bring you some quality play in at this point? Like that, because if you're asking me what's behind NPF as far as the right tackle goes, Jalen Duncan, but he had his opportunities yesterday and he gave up 2 sacks within a short amount of time. So there's that, right? And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, instead of picking J.C. Latham, we should have picked Joe Alt. Well, Joe Alt had a day yesterday, too, against T.J. Watt. And I know
he got introduced to the league.
He did get introduced, too, and I think his quarterback are hurt also. So, again, offensive line play in this league, good offensive line play in this league is just down. So, again, I mentioned NPF. Behind him is Jalen Duncan. John Ojukwu. I don't know if the answer's there. I'll be honest with you. Right now, no, where this team is as far as the offensive efficiency and the ability to hide guys and get up in games to where you don't have to throw the ball every single time. The moment that they got this Tennessee Titans offense got down by 10 points, I said, here come the passing spree. And at this point, here come the sacks or the pressures. And it's exactly on cue. You got to be able to get ahead of the chains and score and run the ball and be efficient on first down more than anything.
Yeah.
And be able to
they've
convert.
talked about that all year.
Be able to convert on third. And those are things that did not show yesterday. And again, playing against these teams and going on a roll is going to be the exact same thing. Yesterday, the Titans were 3 for 9 on third down. So the answers, are they in the building? No, not at this point.
They haven't. I mean, it hasn't proven to be, right?
But if you get more efficient offensively, that can help. But the ability to protect right now over the right side, the front side at that, the dudes that you have right now, I just don't see that. And the only reason I'm giving you that right now is because they've shown it to us.
Yeah. And we're going to dive into that deeper because I do want to really undress the situation that happened with the O-line yesterday, because that's pretty much what happened to them. They were undressed. And you spoke really quick before I go out to the phone lines. You spoke about the inconsistency with some of these drives. And look, the first drive in response to Malik Willis's touchdown to start the game was great. It was awesome.
Flawless.
I mean, that was the most pass plays I've seen in an opening drive by the Titans this season. But you had a little bit of the run mixed in there. You were able to get down. You were able to convert that into 6. That was masterful. But after that, it was the pick 6, and then it was definitely a downfall with a punt and then a punt. So it's like you have a moment, but then you're not able to grab back that moment because of a mistake.
Right.
And that's just seemed to plague them this entire season. Let's go back out to the phone lines and let's check in with Cuzzo Chris from the Borough. He has a question about the offensive tackle position. Cuzzo, you're on with RKW.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. So the first thing, I was blaming Will Levis. I mean, the dude had no time to throw. I really think that we should get some tackling dummies out there to play right tackle, because at least they'd make contact. I mean, MPS didn't even make contact on 2 of his sacks. No contact at all. Duncan didn't get hands on his guy that about killed Levis. Should we be maybe thinking about, a tight end over there to help out, do something? I mean, we're getting Levis killed, and everybody wants to blame Levis. Now, he made some bonehead moves, in his 2 first games, but this game was not on him at all. But it's not just our right tackle that's getting beat. Skaronski's getting beat on the left. Our center's getting beat.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Ravens is getting beat. I mean, it's all across the board. If I was Levis, I'd pretend I'm injured and can't play. So, and as far as that noise, you got to have contact for that to even happen. And there was couple times where we did contact.
Thanks, Chris.
Man, Chris. Yeah. Thing about getting tight ends over there is you handcuff the offense at that point, too. I think early in the game, there was a lot of incorporation of the tight ends, getting them down the field. Wiley had a day. Chig had a couple. Vanette scored the first touchdown of the game. But when you get behind, Chris, here's the thing. Tight ends, athletic ability, at least here. You don't have a Kelsey here, right? So to incorporate tight ends to help with the pass pro, you put handcuffs on the offense, too. And that's why I think the sacks happened later in the game, because you had to get all receivers out to make plays down the field, even though there weren't many being made down the field. An extra blocker for what is essentially it when you need dynamic playmakers down the field. That's the only issue with keeping an extra tight end, and you handcuff the offense in a sense.
We will continue to take your call, 615-737-1045. Give us your thoughts on the Titans starting off the year 0-3. Plus, coming up next, it is a stat, speaking of the offensive line, that is not favorable in the NFL right now. We'll give you that coming up next here on RKW 1045, The Zone. Hey, maybe you're feeling a little achy after that performance on Sunday night. Did you know that you can use your own body's healing properties to revitalize those achy joints and get you real lasting pain relief? Hey, it's Kayla Anderson. I'm talking about advanced regenerative medicine, and it is at QC Kinetics. So if you're tired of arthritic pain, maybe you're dealing with that in your knees, your hips, your back, your shoulders. I have that issue in my wrist. This is something that you need to check out. Everybody's talking about regenerative medicine. And the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics, they're experts in these amazing treatments. People here, they're raving about those results. You can enhance your joints. You can improve your mobility, get back to doing the things you love to do without having to deal with the pain and not having to deal with drugs or surgery or downtime. Under the leadership of Medical Director Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in exciting breakthrough cellular therapy. All you got to do is give them a call. They will give you a free consultation. You can check them out at QC Kinetics in Murfreesboro. It's 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
First and 10 at the 11. Levis throwing back, shoulder ball caught, spinning into the end zone and scoring a touchdown is the living legend himself, DeAndre Hopkins. Touchdown, Titans!
Welcome back into RK Dub on this Reaction Monday. We continue to take your calls. We are going to dive deeper into the offensive line. We've had some PFF numbers come out. We have some interesting stats to share with you, including from one of the more veteran players on the offensive line. But first, real quick, let's go out to Mark in the Borough. He's been holding tight.
Morning, Mark.
Mark, what's up?
Good morning, RK Dub.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm all right. Man, like, we all need to just take a chill pill and just give it a few months or a couple of seasons, to be honest. I don't think we're going to be good until, gel well until about year 2, to be honest. Just because we got a whole new program. We got a whole new everything. And these players, I see a lot of complaints about all the people who we brought in. That's a key fact right there. They coming from a whole different program. They coming from a whole different lifestyle. They got families they moving in, so they dealing with a whole bunch. Like, of course, that's personal, but at the same time, on the field, they learning a whole new system and learning how to play off other players. And then, like, if you actually on that field, if you actually go into the games and looking at Big Jeff getting, like, triple team every time, I'm just saying, like, a lot of people blaming everybody for everything. It's just football. It's football. We forget that it's an actual football game. And grown men are playing grown men games. And this is a strong physical game but this is also a mindset thing. So, like, people forget that how hard it is. So I'm going to just take a chill pill and just relax.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate your call this morning.
As calm as I've ever heard anybody call in.
You played the game.
Yeah.
Have you ever started a season 0-3?
Oh,
You said what? You started 0-4,
yeah, we started 0-4.
right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so did you guys feel in that locker room that things needed to chill, or did you feel like we need to get a plan in gear? I wonder from a player's perspective.
What Mark was saying, though, too. Here's the thing, too. What I started, we had a bunch of new guys coming in, some old veteran dudes that had left at the time, too. But here's what I knew as a player. I knew we'd eventually get onto a win streak because we had the goods. It's a matter of getting the goods. And we finished the season 8-8 at the end. Barely missed the playoffs. We missed the playoffs. Screw it. We missed the playoffs. All right. But Mark has a point, though, about where Green Bay is versus other organizations. Now, we get to go and chance to go into these stats. We got more calls we got to take, too. Now, here's the difference, I think, in franchises. Mark's right. I think there's 2 more cycles, maybe 3, before you get to a point to where it's competitive. And I don't want to say that it can't be beforehand. Like, you can jump the line and start sneaking people, right? What wins. But Green Bay's roster, as it pertains to where they are.
Right.
Rashawn Gary, first rounder, still on roster. Lucas Van Ness, first rounder last year. Jair Alexander, first rounder. Quay Walker, first rounder for this team, too. I can throw in Jordan Morgan this past year offensively. Jordan Love is also in that from a few years back. But again, guys that are playing. Jordan Love didn't play yesterday. Kenny Clark, first rounder for this Packers team. Devontae Wyatt, first rounder for this Packers team. Eric Stokes, first rounder for this Packers team. And I don't even mention their offensive dudes. They got a second rounder, Christian Watson. Okay. They got also this past year a starting on this team from Georgia, a rookie in the second rounder, Javon Bullard. We're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 7. We're talking about 7 to 9 players of first and second rounders on their team that are currently playing and contributing to their wins. How was Malik allowed to be successful yesterday? It starts there. They have a base of core guys that they drafted and brought in. I hadn't even mentioned Luke Musgrave, Elton Jenkins on this team, Edrin Cooper, okay, that are second-round picks that are waiting in the shadows for their opportunities to contribute to the Green Bay Packers. You look at it on the other side for the Tennessee Titans, it's scattered. You got Peter, you got Traylon. How do you feel about that? You got Jeff as a first rounder for this team. J.C. Latham, who's a rookie. Kenneth Murray, other teams. He's a Los Angeles Chargers first round. DeAndre Hopkins, another team's first round draft pick. The ability to stack talent of your own people to where you have your own system, your own standards, your own culture in place. Like, they got a good culture over there with the Tennessee Titans. But we're talking about, at this point, double-digit first and second rounders for one franchise that they drafted and took in and developed and kept versus one that were without Isaiah. Caleb just got cut. Traylon's very sketchy right now and probably on his way out in a sense too, right? If he doesn't turn it around.
Yeah.
Think about the hits that they had versus the misses that's been here for a very long time, Kayla.
And it makes sense because they tell us all the time, and Chad Brinker said it to us during training camp, the main goal of this team over time is we've got to build within the draft. Yeah. And you're right. A lot of those really good franchises that continue to have success, they hit on their draft picks. They build up their kind of, I guess you look at it in baseball, they build up their farm teams, right, to be ready to go when the time is right. I mean, they did it with Jordan Love. The Green Bay Packers fans were like, what are they doing when they drafted Jordan Love when they knew Aaron Rodgers was the starter? They drafted him 26 overall in the first round, and Aaron Rodgers was the starter. There was a lot of questions of why they did that. Well, look at how it looks now. They weren't desperate for a quarterback, and they could build in other positions because they just went ahead when they thought the time was right, and they got their guy in Jordan Love. And they were able to develop him. So really good points there, Ramon. And that's something that they want to do with this offensive line. We talked about homegrown offensive lines. They've added Peter Skoronski. They've added J.C. Latham in terms of their, homegrown guys. Yes, Nicholas Petit-Frere is one of those guys that was drafted by John Robinson, but right now that is not necessarily panning out. I want to give some numbers really quick. Overall, 8 sacks given up on the day. 8 sacks allowed by the Titans was the most surrendered by the team since September 2019 when they gave up 9 to Jacksonville. They have 15 sacks allowed on the season. They're on pace to give up 85 sacks this season, and 15 sacks is the second most given up behind the lowly Cleveland Browns. Lord. This is an issue 3 games in. Is this fixable even, or how do you give? I know there needs to be time given, but these are major issues right now that we're seeing from specifically one side.
Yeah, it is. It's fascinating. The grades from yesterday, I just did the pass pro side of it, and I'm not sure if PFF missed a couple or two, but they're contributing 4 sacks to the offensive line. I actually thought there was a little bit more contributed to them, so it might have been covered sacks. But pass protection grades yesterday, we'll start from best to worst. J.C. Latham scored an 81.8.
He's been good the last 2 weeks.
He did have 1 pressure, no sacks on the game. Dylan Radins, also, we didn't know what he did. According to PFF, he scored a 75.1, 1 pressure, no sacks. And here's where it gets a little sketchy. Next up on the list, Peter Skoronski. Had the worst day, but didn't have the worst grade. Peter Skoronski had a 52.9 according to PFF, and if you believe their metrics, 4 pressures and 2 sacks given up. Behind him was NPF. 2 pressure. He got a 48.3, 2 pressures and 1 sack given up. Lloyd Cushenberry, I think yesterday,
this is what's surprising,
had the worst, I think, professional game of his career so far. Here's the thing, no sacks given up, but he scored a 39.5 in pass protections, 2 pressures given up, but it just wasn't good from him. And, of course, getting to Jalen Duncan with 36.9 in limited snaps with 2 pressures and 1 sack. I think there was another sack potentially may have been given up there. I think they're missing 1 or 2 of that group, but Lloyd had the worst game of his career, and Jalen Duncan had a very bad day too. Peter Skoronski, 2 sacks according to PFF, giving up a 52.9 on the day. It was bad. It was real bad yesterday.
What attributes do you feel like to a veteran like Lloyd Cushenberry, who's been so consistently good during his times with the Broncos and to start the season for the most part here, but yesterday, I mean, what were they doing in terms of exploiting him?
I think they got to his edge real good. I think him and Peter are getting attacked in ways that they need to clean up their film quickly. What you see often on that offensive left side is defenders getting upfield on them. On the first play, I think it was Wyatt that got upfield, and it was a bootleg, so he got him upfield, but I didn't like the amount of pressure given up in that moment right there, especially when the entire offensive line was going left and you had a D lineman way up the field too much for my comfort. But he didn't cause any effect on the play, and I think Will Levis completed on that one. I think you got a young guy still adjusting to guard and Peter Skoronski. And I think you got a guy in Lord Cushenberry that's getting some of the backlash of that too. There's a lot of changes around him that he's not used to. It's fixable with how you go about what they got going on, but it amounts to when will they actually clog the gash and stop the bleeding. And the bleeding hasn't stopped, Kayla. On every single play almost, there's leakage. And if you look at Green Bay, they did exactly what Chicago Bears did. They rushed 3 to one side and created chaos, and they dog blitz behind it too. Like, they are lighting this team up because they can't hold. And again, I'll say this again, pass protection is an art, but you also know how you help pass protection? Being able to efficiently run the ball. If you can control and beat them up, pushing against them.
They didn't do that yesterday.
They did not. Then you can do better in your pass pro. Yesterday, I think, when you look at the way the game unfolded, of course, it was predictable when they were going to throw.
It absolutely
because they had
was.
to. So how do you clean
Made
up
it one-dimensional, yeah.
I'll say this. What I've seen from Peter, what I've seen from Lloyd, there's a level of care there. I know they care. Watching JC on the sideline yesterday.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a young leader in the sense of
yes.
He ain't used to losing ever.
He went to Alabama.
He ain't used to this. So the need and push, I think in these next couple of draft classes and potentially here and there in free agency, you got to get like-minded guys that hate losing. And I know everybody does, but I think some dudes receive losing better than others. And I've never been a receiver of losing, although I know that's a part of the game. A lot of dudes sometimes just get a check and like the fame of being a football player. Like, how much are you a football player? I think you got 3 dudes, and I even throw ratings in there too, that want to be football players and are passionate about it.
Sure.
They got to figure out that right side, though, that right tackle spot for sure.
Yeah, and Callahan said right now it's not solidified after yesterday benching Nicholas Petit-Frere. So we had mentioned there are guys that are out there on the free agency market. How much better are they? I mean, probably not much better, but could you bring in like a Chris Hubbard and get some sort of a veteran presence on that side? We'll have to wait and see what they did with that. But yeah, just an awful day overall for the line. I mean, when you're talking about multiple defensive players having a day, I mean, we were talking about there was more than a handful getting in on a sack at least. Then you had Preston Smith and Devontae Wyatt. They each had 2 sacks alone for the Packers. I mean, they were eating all day long. So not the type of showing that you want to see when it comes to your offensive line. Let's go back out to the phone lines and we check in with Bryce from Springfield. Bryce, you're on with Arcade Dub.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I just, we talked about the line, and I heard, Jeff said all week is this line is better than it was this time last year. Are we saying that just because Bill is a coach, and obviously he's been a kind of a top-tier offensive line coach, because yesterday didn't show it. And I think it goes back to play calling is, we're doing 5-7-step drops, and we're not giving them time, and their D-line's having a meet and greet back there with Levis, And obviously, y'all took words out of my mouth about the run game. Run game was non-existent. They were pinning their ears back and coming for him.
Yep.
And another play that stood out to me, it was 2nd and 7, and we're doing a deep shot and double coverage to Traylon Burks. Now we've left ourselves to 3rd and long. A lot of this is all self-inflicted. If it was 2nd and 3, that's more understandable. If we're going to take a shot, do it 2nd and short or even on 1st, and where you still have 2 plays to make up your down and distance.
Thanks so much, Bryce. We appreciate your call. Really good points there. Run game was almost invisible. It was 33 yards on the ground. But what did you think about his point, too, on the play calling?
On the play call, I do think there's a point to be made there for sure. Like Coach Callahan, in a sense, like keep the pace of the chains in a sense.
Right.
And Traylon has, when you go deep to him, I don't know what they're seeing as far as the secondary, but there's always a safety waiting on him along with a cornerback. And at some point, I scrapped that or either put NWI in at this point. Because
I'm
again,
with you,
the
Ramon.
ability to go downfield, the trailing has been non-existent almost to a point. And he also mentioned, Jeff mentioned the O-line being better and stuff like that this year. I think in training camp, when you see each other every single day, yes, there is a level of better that you see. I do think the talent that's on this team, to a sense, is better at the O-line. Is the play there? No, it's not. But I've always said offensive line take years to get in place. What you see right now is what you don't want to see in the next 2 or 3 years, as far as the talent that you brought in on here and the technique of it all being executed on game day. I'm not saying people say it's ran still cooking. Here's the thing about food sometimes. You don't realize the gumbo is going to look like that when you're making the roux. The brew is dark and brown. He was like, how the hell do you get gumbo out of this? Well, here's the thing about it. The finished product has to get there. The ability to acquire talent happened this offseason. You picked up a left tackle early in the first round that in the last couple of games has graded well according to PFF. You know that, Peter, at some point talent will show up. Lloyd Cushenberry was tagged as one of the best centers in the NFL last year, right? And then, of course, you know what Calvin's capable of. You know what Kenneth Murray's capable of. You know what Ernest Jones is capable of. You know what Cheeto, if he can stay healthy is capable
which he
of.
went out in that game.
Snead, what he's done in his past. So the concept of did Rand Cook and did Chad do their thing this offseason, I think the answer is yes. We're watching a new head coach get to a point. We're watching a new young group try to figure this thing out. So the product on the field isn't good right now, but the ability to supply you with players that you think should work was there. It's a matter of execution. Maybe it's personal, player to player, on what you're going to do, right? And how you're going to play football. It's in hindsight now of what happened this offseason. And, of course, the play up of how this season you thought was going to go, I think these last 3 games should have been winnable. The first 3 games of the season.
The first 2 for sure.
First 2 for sure. And mistakes, turnovers, bad play, and maybe some play calling. Kind of put a wet towel over everything that you had going on. So, yeah.
And it is interesting to see how a new coach, gets into their own groove. We're talking about all these new players and how they're adjusting. Well, I mean, Brian Callahan has things he's got to work on too, and he's admitted that. And he says it has been embarrassing. This is not what he thought the start of the season would be, and he does put blame on himself. This all comes from him yesterday in the presser.
Yeah.
So he's also got to figure out some things too with his staff. Real quick before we go to break, let's go to Rick in Lakeland. Rick, is that Lakeland where? Florida? Rick.
Yeah, are you there?
Yeah, are you in Lakeland, Florida?
Lakeland, Florida.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's where my husband's mom is actually born and raised.
Oh, perfect.
Look at that.
Awesome. It's a great place. It's a
Very
great
cool.
place.
What do you got, Rick?
Yeah. Well, this is 25 years of being a Titans fan, and I don't know that I've been this depressed before.
Oh,
but, one of the things I wanted to ask you guys about was watching the game yesterday. Obviously, Will is a threat with his legs. Why do you think that we are not seeing Callahan or the offensive coordinator move him out of the pocket more play action passes that roll him and bootleg him out to give him more time to scan the field, go through his progressions, see what's in front of him? Because clearly we don't trust the offensive line right now until they begin to gel. So why do you not feel like they're moving him out? There was multiple times yesterday that I thought, man, if he could get in some open space, maybe he could find those open checkdowns to move the ball a little bit more, or even having a weapon like Calvin Ridley on the team. If he's getting downfield and Will doesn't have time to see him, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I was just wondering do you not think that that's like Callahan's style? Unfortunately, I was having a little bit of flashbacks of Mariota, where we saw more productivity out of him when he was able to get outside the pocket and see the field as a whole, and then potentially use his legs to pick up the first downs. But I know they probably also don't trust him that much at this point to not take huge hits.
Issue is,
appreciate that, Rick. Thanks for calling in.
Real quick, the issue is on rolling him out is you got to have a run game to set up the rollout. The same way we saw Malik throw a fake toss and then throw a dart down the field because that was a threat to the running game. There's been no threat to it so far. You got to set these plays up. These plays you can't just say, oh, let's do a flea flicker or a deep pass down the field or, well, let's do all play action. What good is play action if you never have the actual play to believe? The action of throwing the ball is because of the run, right? Like it's it's a lot. Don't be that depressed though, please, okay?
We got you. We'll get you through the day. We'll get all of you through the day. You can give us your thoughts, 615-737-1045. The phone lines are open for you. We'll get to some of those coming up next here on 1045 The Zone. It's RKW.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Man, you guys heard me talk about Hiller and how it feels being a part of their family, right? Well, this month, Hiller's treating you like family too with their Friends and Family Savings event. The Happy Hiller Club members save up to 25% off their first HVAC, plumbing, and electrical repair. I'm going to have to use that myself today, okay? And everyone else, they got something for you too because it's family. Come in, have a seat, grab a drink, grab a plate, get something to eat. That's what they're basically telling you. Everyone else, you get 10% discount off also. Simply go to happyhiller.com to download your coupon today.
Levis wide to the right.
Hey, Louis!
Ridley wide to the left. Levis firing deep downfield, going for Ridley, and it is intercepted over the top. It's McKinney.
Welcome back into RK-Dub. It is a Reaction Monday. You guys have done a great job of calling us and giving your reactions. The Tennessee Titans fall to the Green Bay Packers 30-14. Let's go out to the phone lines, and we're going to check in. Let's go with Greg in Lebanon. Greg, you on with us. What's up, Greg?
Hey, enjoy your show immensely. Hey, my question has to do with, remember the final preseason game in the first half? You had Will firing a lot of really quick, I don't know if they were, pre-set to do that, but the announcer, if you remember, he talked about that. Brian Callahan said that one of the goals is to bring the percentage completion up, so they're doing these quick hits. And now let's fast forward to the Jets game, that first half. The Jets could not stop what the Titans defense was doing, but towards the tail end of the first half and then the remainder of the game, they were even talking about how they've gone to a quicker pass game and negate that rush of the Titans. I guess I'm just not seeing the same thing out of the play calling, or maybe Will's just not, going along with the plays that are called. I don't know. But, I go back to the days of Bill Belichick, and, each year he would be challenged with some different talents on his team, and they would stumble for the first 4 games or whatever, and then all of a sudden he would get his system to take advantage of the talents of the players, not force the players to play just that game that he's had in the previous years. I guess I'm kind of pushing on the play calling that they're in the infancy here too, in addition to the players on learning the system.
Thanks, Greg. We appreciate your call.
Yeah.
So touching again on some of the play calling, and he was going back to that preseason game in particular.
Yeah. You have to get to a point to where there's yards being made, though. That's the issue. Is 2nd and 9 or 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 11 doesn't help your play calling. It's hard dialing up plays when there's no efficiency there. Like passing the ball out. Will Levis was very effective yesterday as far as his passing. But here's the other part behind that passing, too, that I'm nobody. We hadn't mentioned
You're
yet,
somebody,
too.
Moan.
I know, is you were behind.
Yeah, you're playing from behind.
Other teams going to allow you to bend but don't break style of offense. And what happened out of it? I mean, what you end up getting, 14 points?
Yeah,
and you
14.
got to drive with D-Hop that was basically, no huddle 2 minute to try to get points up on the board. I'm with you. And they attempted screens. Here's the thing about, like I said, and I said this earlier with Kayla, what do I say? It was like in the 6 o'clock, like nothing's believable right now, though. Either I know
you wrote that. You're like, I got to write this down.
Right. What do you, and there's no criticism on the coach, but what do you believe about the offense? And what I mean by that is the execution of it. Like, if I know I can beat your offensive line with not much, if I know that down the field that I can read your quarterback good enough to where I can throw, you're going to throw in the double coverage, and there's always a safety over Traylon or anybody else, the last pick, right? Again, double coverage in a sense. When it's hard when I don't believe what you're doing. On one of those last plays, I think Will Levis and Coach Callahan were trying to throw a screen. Preston Smith read that thing like a book. He was rushing, and then he backed up, and Will Levis threw it into the dirt. Because if he'd have thrown that ball, Preston Smith may have intercepted it. So if you got D linemen that can't be tricked by screens, now let's go to the other side with Green Bay. I set up the run good enough. They made you believe that Malik could throw, and he did throw well.
He did.
Kayla, that was a perfect blitz call up by Denard Wilson. Kenneth Murray dogged on a blitz.
Yeah.
They had pressure all up on Malik, and Malik back, and dropped it off. It was 2nd and 15 for a 30-yard screen touchdown. And also this, too, their receivers blocking down the field were phenomenal.
And that's another point that you made on that specific play where they brought the blitz. You're exactly right.
All day long, they were phenomenal as far as their down-the-field blocking.
It was an all-team effort, right?
It was a whole team effort. But
to help Malik out.
I
didn't even need it.
I challenge anybody to go to Football Reference and go to current roster for the Green Bay Packers. Look at how many Green Bay picks is on this roster. compared to this team. And what I'm getting at is this. The culture's in place where everybody blocks here as you're a wide receiver. We run the ball here as your offensive line, and we play great defense one of the best players is an outside free agent in Preston Smith, right? But he's a Packer at this point.
It's tough sometimes to hear that, right? But that's kind of the things, if you're going to really break down everything this morning in terms of who played better ball yesterday, it was clearly, better prepared. And I do feel like better coached yesterday. And again, this was yesterday. It was Green Bay. And that's something that you hope that does not happen in that capacity again here on Monday Night Football. They're going to be taking on a team that, they don't have their starting quarterback, but we know Mike McDonald can be a creative guy in terms of how he presents his offense, and that can be worrisome at times too with maybe what you just saw out of this defense, and they can be tricked. So it'll be interesting. Let's go out to Andy in Clarksville. Andy.
Morning,
Andy.
Andy.
Shoot. I see, this is why you do not trust me to run these phone lines this morning because I just hung up on our friend Andy. I know Andy will call right back though. So Andy, just give us a call right back. That was my bad. I will take the sack on that one, guys. You can put me on PFF as being credited for the sack.
Yeah, pressure and a sack right there, Kayla.
But until we get back to Andy, we will return with Hour 3. It's RKW here on 104.5 The Zone. We'll continue to take your calls. 615-737-1045.
What's going on, guys? Bert and Ramon here with North Point Roofing Systems. It's tough to have peace of mind when things are going wrong with your home, even worse when it's your roof. But North Point Roofing System wants to give you the peace of mind by giving you a free roof.
No doubt about it, man. They are awarding a roof to someone who is most deserving in Middle Tennessee. Is that you or somebody you know? If you've ever been priced out on a roof, you know how incredible this opportunity is. Simply visit 1045thezone.com and register and tell us why the most deserving homeowner, maybe the North Point Roofing Systems truck will be pulling up in front of your house. Again, visit 1045 The Zone to get that free roof.
9:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. A little change of scenery and an injury gave Malik Willis a huge opportunity to show what he can do. Unfortunately, came against the Titans as the Packers win at 30-14. Malik Willis finishing with 202 passing yards, 73 rushing, and a touchdown through the air and on the ground.
Second and goal at the 5. Reed motions right. Keeping Willis around right in. Turns it down the field, and Malik Willis is in for a touchdown. Green Bay Packers.
Chiefs take down the Falcons 22-17 on Sunday Night Football as Kansas City moves to 3-0. After not being able to convert on a 3rd and 1 from Kansas City's 13-yard line, Falcons went to Bijan Robinson, and he also unable to pick up the necessary yard, turning it over on downs. Doubleheader for Monday Night Football tonight. Jags and Bills get started at 6:30 from Buffalo with the Commanders and the Bengals kicking off at 7:15 in Cincinnati. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome into the final hour. That is right. Put those fours up. It is the final hour of Ramon, Kayla, and Will here on 104.5 The Zone. We are also streaming live on all platforms. We've got Facebook. We got YouTube. We got Twitch. We've got X. I mean, everything you can think of, or Twitter if you want to call it that. We've got...
We also have that.
If you missed it earlier, we had a phenomenal call by a fan, by a listener who explained the type of effort that was going into some pass protection yesterday.
Yes. Petite Frere. Anytime he gets a bull rush, he said the sound is.
That's Ramon Foster, our NFL vet.
Nuts.
We've got Robert Walsh doing great work behind the glass today. Will Bowling is off. I'm Kayla Anderson, and we have taken a ton of your calls today. We appreciate you guys calling in, letting us know how you feel. Again, my apologies to Andy when we ended the hour. I hung up on him, and that was accident. I had like happy fingers or something going on over here. Or just say that I can't multitask this morning. Maybe that's it too. But the Tennessee Titans falling to the Green Bay Packers yesterday at Nissan Stadium, 30-14. They have started off the season 0-3. The last time, Ramon Foster, that this Tennessee Titans team has started 0-3 was back in 2009. That was the Jeff Fisher era. And that team ended up bouncing back nicely with an 8-8 record. However, they did miss the playoffs. So there are still things that can happen in terms of getting on a win streak. But I think right now what is so hard, Ramon, to figure out is, I used this word earlier, but it just looks discombobulated in certain areas. Even yesterday with the defense taking steps back, that then put even more questions into our head.
It did, because the one thing that we thought was good, the defense, was not yesterday. Now, of course, you look at it and say, well, they didn't give up the pick six. The defense did not. So those 7, subtract that from them. All right. And then they also they extended plays because of a special teams play by Jeffrey Simmons with the pull and shoot. And that allowed another 7 points to be put up on the board, too. That's 14, that you can say not contributed directly to the defense. Well, the pull and shoot penalty contributed to the 7 points given to the defense, but subtract the pick six, and we got a different conversation to be had. But what's disheartening about what was good, Kayla, is the stat line of them giving up 188 yards rushing on the ground, plus no turnovers. They got 3 sacks on it, but I think a couple of those were strategic by Green Bay, and honestly, Malik been smart enough to hold on to the ball and not make a boneheaded decision.
For the second week in a row, he's been efficient with the football, and they even added, Matt LaFleur specifically, even added more, I feel like, to his game this past weekend, but it didn't overwhelm him.
No, it did not. And what's happened so far, I think that's disheartening and discombobulated, throw it off, Kayla, just inconsistent. We can use all the bad words we want to with this one. Is this to me, too, is you had a guy that was here, and we directly got to see a one-to-one onto what they're capable of. Now, here's the thing. I do think Malik's personnel in Green Bay is better. I think on paper they're a better team. He had better protection, but he also just simply played better too. And I got to give credit where credit is due. Malik pushed the ball down the field when asked to. He was smart with the ball and knowing how to escape. Even though he took some hits, Malik didn't seem to bother him much at all because he moved the chains. And there was something else that happened yesterday too where Will Levis has never done so far. Malik Willis as a backup has won 2 games in a row as a starting quarterback. Will Levis is yet to have that happen, whether it be the structure of the team and the personnel that you have. But for a dude that's just been there for about 4 weeks in Green Bay, he's got back-to-back wins. He's got a game where he scored over 30 points. He strategically helped his team win yesterday. A good bit of that offense in the first half was either on the arms or legs of Malik Willis, period.
Yeah, and it is wild to think about because, again, you just said it. He went in there, has learned a new playbook over just the last few weeks and clearly has grasped enough of it and had enough, great coaching and setting him up for success. It's just worked really well for them up there. And whoever thought he would have been needed that early, in the season, and boom, here we are.
Oh, we are.
So now they know at least they got a viable backup to go to once Jordan Love does come back in, which very well could be this weekend against the Minnesota Vikings. Let's go back out to the phone lines. Let's check in with Jason from Knoxville. Jason, you're on with RK Dub.
Hey, what's up, guys? Calling from Knoxville. Ramon, I wanted to ask you, the right tackle position was just a turnstile yesterday, and even when they brought Duncan in, it didn't get any better. I know they would never do this, but would you not at least consider putting Skoronski at right tackle? He was one of the top offensive tackles in last year, 2 drafts ago. And I know they're playing in the guard, but it couldn't be any worse than what they're doing now, could it?
Fair point. What I've learned too, Jason, is this: it can always be worse. I just, in a joking way, say that too. Here's the thing about Peter. Peter's already not had, I think, this past weekend didn't have a great game.
Did you have his PFF grade?
Yeah, his PFF grade for him this past weekend was Peter Skoronski, according to PFF, probably had the worst production of it, where he allowed 4 pressures and 2 sacks, Jason. There's that side of it, too, with a pass protection rate of 52.9. So it wasn't a great day for him. So moving him to tackle. Again, if you're moving the right tackle, he was a college left. So there's an adjustment period there, too. So to say you're basically robbing Peter to pay Paul here in a sense, Jason. Like, yeah, there's an idea that you can move him to right tackle or, heck, move him to left and move JC over. But how many moving chairs and parts is it that you want to be moving around in the middle of the season? One thing we have to do is, I guess, get through this next game, hit the bye week, and see if there's a reset and or adjustment right there. That's the best answer I have for you, because to do it right now in the middle of the week, I think causes more issues, although you can be optimistic that plan may work better. We don't know that, but in my experience and how I looked at it, you don't move 2 parts to get 1.
And those 2 parts you're hoping can be long time with J.C. Latham and Peter Skoronski on that side. I think that's what they're trying to work towards too, is being, 2 guys that are younger that can start to find their groove with, the chemistry on that side eventually. It does not happen overnight. You're right. So if you pull one to put on the other side, I think that disrupts J.C. Latham's growth too, in a way. Yeah. So it's a very interesting thing to bring up, but it's also very complicated. Let's go out to Mr. Caples. He is in Nashville. Capes, you're on with RK Dub. What's up, man?
What's going on, y'all? I think Will took a day off today to stay away from them Malik callers, didn't he?
Hey, he going to have to answer tomorrow, because I'm sure we can reset this whole thing tomorrow, man. But to his credit, he had that day pulled off because of
he went to Morgan Waller.
Yeah, Waller.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well,
he ain't ducking.
Well, I'm about to get to it in a little bit of a time, but I think I said it in the chat. I think the defense took things for granted yesterday. I think they thought they was going to have a cakewalk because Malik was quarterback and got caught their pants down with that effort that they gave yesterday. I was watching the hour 22 and it just didn't look good. defensively at all. You know, I just feel like they walked in there like, we got this, and they got handed to them. As far as the quarterback, I'm getting those Mariota Tannehill vibes from a couple of years ago, where the talk is starting to get loud and the play is not good. We can make excuses for Levis with the O line, but at the same time, you can hear the grumblings. And it's giving me those Tannehill Mariota vibes where Mariota got benched and Tannehill came in. And you got a veteran sitting on the sideline who came in and saved Pittsburgh season last year. Maybe he could do the same thing for us. I don't know. And as far as the O-line, man, we don't have a right tackle on the roster. So I don't know what they're going to do. And if you notice, they was chipping yesterday and only sending like 3 routes out, and they had nobody open. So that's how it's hard to judge what Levis can do when he only got 3 routes. You going 3 against 6 in the secondary, and the protection, max protection, still getting you sacked. So it's kind of hard to read him at this point. He make a stupid pick 6 pass when he's staring down his receiver, but at the same time, can you really analyze what he's doing with the O-line?
Yeah.
Thanks for your call. Appreciate it, Caples. We will answer some of those questions. And speaking of Will Levis, that's what we're going to get deeper into in terms of, was it all bad yesterday? Were there some things that we liked from Will Levis, or are we just pretty much in the direction as a fan base? Are you out on him already? We'll get all of that. We'll hear your reaction. 615-737-1045 here on RKW.
What's going on, guys? Bert and Ramon here with North Point Roofing Systems. It's tough to have peace of mind when things are going wrong with your home, even worse when it's your roof. But North Point Roofing System wants to give you the peace of mind by giving you a free roof.
No doubt about it, man. They are awarding a roof to someone who is most deserving in Middle Tennessee. Is that you or somebody you know? If you've ever been priced out on a roof, you know how incredible this opportunity is. Simply visit 1045thezone.com and register and tell us why the most deserving homeowner, maybe the North Point Roofing Systems truck will be pulling up in front of your house. Again, visit 1045 The Zone to get that free roof.
Real
Willis, play fake, going to screen it left side to Wilson. 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, end zone. Touchdown, Green Bay Packers. And Malik Willis has his first touchdown pass of the day.
Welcome back into RKW. It is a Reaction Monday, and we've almost come to the end of our 4 hours, but still plenty of time to get in on the conversation. We're here for you this morning as the Tennessee Titans fall to the Packers 30-14. And we've spoke a little bit about Will Levis today, and for once, and I am thankful that we are not talking about another flick six or another complete boneheaded mistake. However, there were still mistakes made. That does include the interception that was thrown early on in the game where Jair Alexander read it like a good cornerback is supposed to do and jumped the route.
Book. Yeah.
He did, right? That's a great, like a Dr. Seuss book. And you looked at that a couple times, Ramon. Maybe just break down what you saw if you were Will Levis in terms of, is that something you had to go to? And I know they've been pushing DeAndre Hopkins and getting him involved, which he was yesterday. Yeah. He led all receivers with 77 yards. But was there a better situation he could have put himself in?
I think Coach Callahan even said so. It was a call, design, time, and route that they were throwing to D-Hop. The thing is, if you watch it, and I can't wait to hear Blaine break down with him and Blaine and Zach later, but he sat, and as soon as he saw Will Levis plant his foot in the ground and throw that ball, I guess there was no threat of D-Hop having a double move on that play. You wanted to probably hit the sideline and get a quick throw to jumpstart the offense. Mm-hmm. Tendencies is what I always say. They're like a bunch of smart people in dark rooms that watch tape and break down tendencies, and we hear this analytical word, analytics, thrown around a lot. Well, it was probably one of those moments right there, and it was just instinctive as hell by Jair. He didn't even really backpedal much at all. You see him, his feet were planted. As soon as Will Levis put his foot in the ground, he broke on that ball, and there was nothing that can be done after that. Only other thing I could say is I don't know if you need a D-Hop to come back to the ball.
Okay.
I don't know if Will Levis should have pumped, and I don't know because it's not my play. All I know is he had protection, had a clear sight to D-Hop, and Jair Alexander made one heck of a play for a pick six. And at that point right there, 17-7, there was no real bluebirds, I don't think, in the stadium, but it was probably because of so many Green Bay fans there, Kayla.
Yeah, it did, though, disrail the offensive type of momentum, however, because after Malik Willis scored on that first drive coming out the gates, they did respond with a touchdown, but that is the pick six there that kind of turned around the first half in terms of offensive production for the Tennessee Titans, because after that pick six, they punted on both drives. Yeah. So there was no kind of momentum that they were able to catch back.
No answer.
Meanwhile, the Packers just continued to put points on the board and give this Tennessee defense a difficult time. So it's interesting because I think we're happy that we didn't see boneheaded mistakes out of Will Levis, but at the same time, are we seeing enough progress out of him to assure us that he's the thing going forward? And right now, the answer probably is no on that. I know Brian Callahan said after the game, when asked about, do you feel confident in him being the starter moving forward, Ramon, he said, yes, he is going to be the quarterback right now that will start for us.
He said right now?
He said he will. He believes in. Actually, let's just go to the sound.
We have the sound anywhere?
If we can, and we can buy some time. But yes,
there's nothing. I mean, we got to play better around them. Again, I'm not going to overreact to an interception. Those things happen. Guys throw picks. We just can't give it to their team. We keep giving up points the other way. It's killer. It's hard to overcome. We've not played a complete game in any phase at any point yet. We're capable of way better than what we put on the field the last 3 weeks, and no one's coming to save us. So we got to figure it out.
So he's pretty much saying, and he did. The question was asked about, Will Levis being the guy right now, and he is.
Yeah.
He didn't bring up any, suggestion of Mason Rudolph coming in at this point. And by the way, just to refresh everything, this team only has 2 quarterbacks on their roster.
Yeah.
So
only
I don't know.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, especially going into a Monday night football game where you're going to have the nation watching? They don't want to get embarrassed, but at the same time, this quarterback is not progressing in the fashion I think a lot of people were hoping for under a guy like Brian Callahan, who has done good things with quarterbacks in the past.
And there's so many different avenues you can go, because the thing is, Brian Callahan inherited Will Levis, right? Is that component of it too? I almost kind of look at this situation just slightly different than what Carolina has going on in a sense, because Carolina know that at all costs, I got a number 1 overall pick that I can get something for. I know that because there's a fifth-year option that would allow me to have pass him off to another team and get grace. The same way Mac Brown situation was. Mac Jones situation was. I keep saying Mac Brown. Mac Brown had a bad weekend.
He's having a bad weekend at UNC.
Yeah, we're having college football Tuesdays tomorrow, man. But Mac Brown is not having a good week. But Mac Jones, right? Zach Wilson's another one of those guys. Trey Lance got traded for a price and a cost too, right? There's at least that for them. Here's the thing about sticking with Will Levis is Will Levis you got to figure out if it's him or not soon. And you got to somewhat probably let him stay in the fire, because there's no fifth-year option there to mortgage to another team and say, hey, keep him for a year. If you don't like him, toss him. Right? At Will Levis is almost a commitment to where you cut him and you just sign him to a 1-year deal if you're not able to trade for a guy like him, right? So you got to figure out if it's his now, because there's no option there. He's no first rounder. And the thing about it, as far as Will Levis's play, he had a good day percentage-wise yesterday.
Yeah, let me read the stats real quick, Ramon, too. 26 of 34, 260, 2 touchdowns, those 2 INTs. Obviously, he had the fumble, too.
And what sucks is this. 2 dudes yesterday had bad plays that cannot allow it. Traylon Burks with the drop across the middle. Traylon Burks also down the field, not bringing the ball in, whether it was double coverage or not. It's just him on the scene. Like, why are you always around the crime scene? It's that side of it. And then also, even though Will Levis and Coach Callahan just acknowledged, I don't mind interceptions.
Right.
But the issue is Will Levis is 3 straight weeks has had something. The flip 6, right? The flip back, and then a pick 6. Like, he continues also to be around the crime scene, and that doesn't give you much hope when it's the usual suspects and not like the great movie that I like, okay? Like, that's what sucks about this situation. Like Coach Callahan said, nobody's coming to save you. You got to figure this thing out, and that's what Will Levis is, too. A little bit of what I saw on the sideline, too, is just that disgruntled look, too, from him to where when stuff is going bad, like, I know I'm having a bad day. You ain't got to continue to tell me it's going to be all right. Leave me the heck alone.
Sure.
And I feel that for Will Levis in a sense. Like, everybody's trying to encourage him, but it's that whole, like, I know. Like, let me work myself out of it, and he ain't got no air to breathe to actually work himself out, because nothing good is continually happening, and you don't have a win to hide the bad stuff. If I knew how to actually win. And that's the biggest
thing, right? There's no wins to go along with any of it.
No.
So it's hard to paint a pretty picture.
To actually say this works for us and helps us win. Mm-hmm. There's been nothing
of that. Nothing to point to. You're right. That's a great point, Ramon. Let's go back out to the phone line to listen into your calls. We got Kyle from Shelbyville. Kyle, what's up?
What's going on, guys? Sorry, I'm a little hungover after drinking myself to sleep after that game.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Shout out to Cables, though. He always brings it. Me and him have the same brain. I love what he has to say. But I think Will can still be a good quarterback in this league, but I am not afraid of benching him just to save him. I've been a Titans fan since they've been here. I've watched us. Mariota was good for a while till Lawan got suspended and our line fell apart and got him crushed, and he just had the jittery feet and didn't know what to do, just didn't trust his line. And then also Tannehill. Remember that Saints game? After he got killed the year before, he just didn't trust his line, didn't trust his reads. He just lost his feel for the pocket. I'm worried we're going to do the same thing for him, so I would give Will and the line one more chance against Miami and then assess in the bye week and say, hey, do we need to save our quarterback because our line is not improving, and just put Rudolph in and see if he can do the easy checkdowns and survive, because I really want Will to be our quarterback.
Yeah, understood.
Thanks so much for your call. And it's a tough thing to think about in terms of when you're a head coach and benching a quarterback at any point early on in the season. And they're doing it, obviously, with Bryce Young down in Carolina. And you can say, look at the results that they got this weekend with Andy Dalton. It was a big win for them.
It was.
But I don't know if that works for this team.
They tried it. And the thing is, again, like I said, the offense, knowing how to run it, with a savvy veteran guy. Will Levis is in year 2, and I know a lot of people have been saying, well, he ain't even got 17 games. He don't. And here's the other side behind it. Well, find somebody that can get the job done. Like at some point, what Coach Dave Canales did in Carolina, oh man, we got to get a win.
And their O-line is better. They did.
Yesterday they were better.
They did stuff in the off season.
Technically, they are the number 1 pass pro offensive line in football through 3 weeks.
Are they really?
They've definitely improved. That's why I think benching Bryce Young was probably more warranted than many thought. First of all, because he was behind a better line.
So Andy Dalton went 26 for 37, 319 yards and 3 touchdowns.
And then what they run for?
They ran for 131. Yeah. Chuba Hubbard
doing it on
had
both
114 ends. On the ground with a 5.4 average.
Yeah.
So the run and the pass work. I wonder if it was because they had a quarterback that they actually knew had a threat to throw the ball, or did the run game jump off first for them? You see what I'm saying? Like there has to be flow and balance to what you're trying to do. Like forcing Will Levis to sit back and create with his arms when the run game ain't working the way you efficiently need it to. Like I said in my notes earlier, like what the offense is doing here isn't believable. I knew what Carolina was doing yesterday, or would do with Andy Dalton, would at least, Bert, you've seen him as somebody that's watched the AFC North, right? You know Andy Dalton's capable of making plays, correct, Bert?
Right, yeah, for sure.
So what scares, it keeps the defense unbalanced in a sense. And that's what he did yesterday against a tough Raiders team, right?
Yeah.
Raiders, I mean, they are what they are, but they also had a point to where Carolina Panthers just straight up blasted.
But do you think if they decided, at some point, okay, this is not working with the young quarterback, let's put in a veteran like Mason Rudolph, do you think the results are going to be any different with this O-line play so far with him back there? Or is he in just as much trouble?
I'm yet to say, because what I do know is this. Last year with the same offensive line and offense in Pittsburgh, Mason Rudolph made that team look night and day compared to what
Kenny Pickett was doing.
That's the only thing I have to run off of, Kayla. I don't know if it'll work here like that. But I do believe in Mason's ability to throw and dissect defenses downfield.
And you know, he doesn't make as many of those mistakes, right? He takes care of the ball for the most part.
Yeah.
Or he has. Okay, let's go back out to the phone calls. We got Chris. Oh, boy. This is going to get spicy. Chris is a Packers fan?
Come on,
Chris, you're on with Arcade Up. Chris,
Hello?
you there? Yeah, Chris, you're on.
No, I'm not a Packers fan.
Oh, it said Packers fans. Okay.
No.
He's like, I am not a Packers fan. Yeah, what do you have to say about them?
I am a Cowboys fan with Titans season ticket holder.
Oh.
Yes. So the offensive line yesterday was terrible. And I sit in the end zone and I watch the plays, and none of the plays were in the north end zone where I sit. But the offensive line was terrible, and we're getting very tired of seeing this. But I understand it's a new regime. Everything's great. But Will Levis needs to not hold on to the ball the way he's holding on to the ball.
All right, Chris, we appreciate your call. Yeah, he had a rough day because the Cowboys obviously taking a loss by Bert's Ravens there, and then he had to watch that yesterday.
Yeah.
Will Levis not getting the ball out quick enough.
I've seen that. And that's why I said, what he's presenting you with in a sense, and I'm not a QB whisperer or defensive player, but the holding on to the ball and indecisiveness of getting it out, or the timing effect of it, like eventually teams pick up on that. And when you couple that also with the ability of not being able to protect, if we make him hold on to the ball in coverage, then he's going to give us, a sack or a turnover or something like that. Now, here's the thing to Will Levis' credit. He fit the ball in some real tight spots yesterday, too, in moments where you needed him to. But at that point in the game, the Titans are playing catch-up and the Packers defense is playing soft on the back end of it. So which one do we believe? Which one is he capable of is where I'm at right now. And, again, it's still incomplete. But I don't like what I'm seeing so far out of it, Kayla, because I've seen young playmakers like C.J. Stroud come in and make plays. We even saw Trevor Lawrence do well with even Urban Meyer as his head coach. Like we've seen sparks from other teams that have franchise quarterbacks. I was listening to somebody yesterday. I might have been on the talk back with Mayor and Mayor and
Kevin Dyson and Zach Lyons, yeah.
Yes, yesterday. How many elite quarterbacks are in the league? Elite talent and play, I think, is Patrick, period. Elite talent, I think you throw Lamar in there, Josh Allen. I think Herbert can be in there. I think Burrow's on the fringe of elite talent. The only one that's checking both boxes in the NFL is, to me, Patrick Mahomes. Elite talent and elite play.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has an elite quarterback. If they do, then they're not getting every week in and week out elite play out of them. And, like, there's a bunch of guys in the league right now, Geno, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, that are doing good, that are making big-time plays because they're serviceable and they're winning quarterbacks, or they showing they can win. To find the guy is hard.
It's really hard.
It's
Even
really
with C.J. Stroud, I mean, C.J. had a bad day yesterday, right? I mean, C.J. Stroud, the Texans took a loss.
Yeah, they did.
A big
they took
loss.
a bad loss yesterday.
And he's looked, for the most part, pretty good to start the season. But yesterday, not so much, right?
Yeah, and this is what we don't want. And Dixie in the chat said, let's do this tank thing right. Oh, let's not do it. We're 3 weeks in. There's a lot of football left. We can't be at that point yet.
Not yet. We'll go out to your calls before we take our final break real quick. Let's go ahead and go to Gina in Lebanon.
As referring to Ramon's crime scene, our special team is an active crime scene going on. The third straight game has either resulted in points or a big momentum swing. I mean, have they talked about that? I mean, are they? Does he need to get rid of the special teams coach? Because this is 3 straight weeks. You can't keep on going like this because possibly 2 games were lost because of special teams.
No, it's a
interesting.
focus point.
Yeah, and I don't know. Again, we went back and we had gone through some of this earlier in the show. We got Jeffrey Simmons' opinion on it, which he owned up to
the pull and shoot penalty.
Right. And that clearly led to a Packers touchdown. And at that point, it did really put the game for a lot of people what they thought was out of hand because it was 27-7. And that's when I witnessed up there in the press box a lot of fans leaving that stadium. It seemed to shift the momentum completely in a way that, people didn't feel like this team could come back. And obviously they didn't. Yeah. But is that a special teams coaching issue, Ramon? Or is this just simply individuals not playing or doing the things that they need to be doing that are hurting the team? Because again, that is not a call that always gets called.
No. And here's the thing. It's a famous saying by most coaches. Either you're coaching it or you're allowing it. Either you are coaching bad play or you are allowing bad play. And if you are coaching it right, but the bad play is there, in the NFL, you got an option. Demote or fire. Demote or fire the player if you don't think it's you. But if it is you, then what can you do to correct it? So, yes, it's been problematic. 3 straight weeks of turnovers that resulted in points from the offense and 3 straight weeks of bad play from the special teams that allowed points also.
You can't have it. And eventually these things, like you said, we've got a game coming up here on Monday that a lot of things need to be fixed by then. And you're going on the road, and then you've got your bye week. And we've seen it before in years past. When bye weeks hit, sometimes there are changes made. Yeah. And we don't know what's going to happen moving forward because, again, they've got a chance to win this weekend. But
with a backup quarterback, I would say
I was going to say, but that didn't change anything here. You lost to a backup quarterback. When it's all said and done, you've got another chance next week to win against a backup quarterback. At what point does that storyline really start to turn then? If it's you're 0-4 and you've lost to 2 backup quarterbacks. That's it. You guys can decide what to think after next week. We'll hopefully see this team bounce back. But again, we're here for your calls up for the last segment here. We've got a couple more hanging on the line for us. We appreciate you guys tuning in today. We'll get to those coming up next here as we wrap up the show on a Reaction Monday on RKW 104.5 The Zone. Hey, it is the time of the year that you want to get in on all the action when it comes to FanDuel because they are America's #1 sports book. And we have something a little bit different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and you can get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So then with YouTube TV and that base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you're going to need is a Google account and a current form of payment. And if you want to cancel, you can do that at any time. All you got to do, visit FanDuel.com/Kayla. That's FanDuel.com/Kayla. And you can download America's #1 sportsbook. Remember, must be 21 years and older and present in Tennessee to bet. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bet, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789. Welcome back into RKW as we wrap up this Monday reaction show. As the Tennessee Titans fall at home yesterday 30-14 to the Green Bay Packers. Of course, you've got the former backup quarterback Malik Willis getting the victory, his second straight there with the Packers. Not sure if we'll see him this weekend. Probably going to go back to Jordan Love, but at least they know they have a viable backup there that can hold it together if need be. Meanwhile, here, Titans fans just wondering if the starting quarterback is going to be the guy that can get it done for them. They'll get a chance on Monday Night Football. And remember, Ramon, we were talking about this during the break. This is a Dolphins team who lost to the Titans and Will Levis last year on Monday Night Football. It is also a team that just lost up in Seattle, who obviously will want to get back too. So granted, they're going to have like their third stringer in, but still, they're going to want to get some get back.
The biggest thing, the Titans don't have any injuries right now as far as like, okay,
that's been really positive.
We're missing, and my point is, we're missing this player. So when we get back, we'll have this to look forward to.
That's the thing.
No.
A positive's not really been something that's necessarily helped.
That's necessarily help right now, man. But football is emotional. It's very emotional, man. So we'll see what this week holds for us, Kayla.
Yeah, we'll get in there. We'll try to get the answers for you, try to get the reactions all week long, but we're getting your reactions right now. Let's go back out to the phone lines before we wrap up the show quickly. We've got Mike in White House. Mike, what's up?
What's up, guys? RK. Y'all show is just like the Titans this morning. Both y'all are missing a W.
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh, that was good.
Ramon, hey, you were talking earlier about, the usual suspects, like always being around the crime scene. I want to just touch on Big Jeff, and you guys may have earlier in the show, I don't know, but, Big Jeff, this is the second week in a row, or either at least the second out of 3 weeks, that he's had a costly penalty, man. Like, they had a missed field goal. That penalty he gave us yesterday caused them to score a touchdown on us when we could have had the ball, like, near the 50.
Yeah.
So I just want to touch on that. Appreciate you guys. Love y'all show.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you. Yeah, we did. But real quick, that was something that we had mentioned, and Jeff did take full accountability afterwards in the locker room. Callahan was a little bit surprised they called that on him. That doesn't necessarily always get called, but you said no excuses, though, at this point, with this team, especially in the mistakes that have been happening.
Yeah, and here's the thing about it, too. Jeff going to always have eyes on him. He is.
100%.
He's like Chris Jones. Chris Jones gets called a lot,
and
too.
he's talking a lot out there.
Yeah, so these types of things, again, we mentioned usual suspects. Last week was the face mask to Aaron Rodgers that allowed points, too. We talked about that earlier. This week was the pull and shoot play. That happens often. I played that position, okay? Like on the field goal protection. Sure. They pull a lot. It's a matter of how obvious you are and are the refs looking for it. Again, Jeff has eyes on him.
He does.
For a lot of different reasons. One, because he's a star in this league. He's that good. He's an aggressive player, but he has moments like this to where, to your point, he can't be a usual suspect, especially in losses like that, too. And real quick before we go to another call was this, too, Kayla. I've been asking, when does the defense turn? When do they start having, like, there's a couple glances yesterday over at the offense from the defense, in a sense. Nothing bad, just frustration.
Okay.
When you lose like that. Now, I think we're getting to a point to where win has to happen real soon, and it can't be very one-sided in what happens. Although the offense can push back and say, well, you guys gave up 188 yards on the ground.
I'll say one thing, though, Ramon, to that point. There's no complimentary football in this team yet. We haven't seen any of it.
No, not in any phase that can say, well, the special teams help the offense. No, that's not.
It's not. In one game, the other game, it's all something is happening in each and every game, and it's preventing complimentary football. And I don't care how many times coaches say it's coaches speak. It's true. That can help you win games. That's what happened with the Green Bay Packers yesterday with the backup quarterback again. And congrats to Malik Willis. I think he looked great. I thought he looked great. Let's go back out to the phone call, our last phone call of the day. Ryan in Nashville, you're on with RKW.
Hey, good morning, guys. Ramon, you said coaching versus allowing, and that has really stuck with me here. I know we got only a short period of time here. I think the physical evidence, all these other things that we're seeing, Simmons, bad play, the defense playing terrible yesterday, special teams being inconsistent, all of that. they're all symptoms. Will Levis, outside of 3 plays, 2 of which were absolute backbreakers, yes, and the other one yesterday, arguably a backbreaker. But only 3 plays are all still symptoms, I think, of the core problem this team has had for at least 4 years now in its offensive line. And there's no better physical evidence of that than Malik Willis leaving this team, going to a team that's protected him, and then working. So my question, or what I'm looking for now going against in Monday night, is going to be Brian Callahan, who you sold to everybody that you didn't have a system. Your system was you were going to work with what you got.
Yeah.
And your dad, the Hall of Fame offensive line coach who came in here, and I know lines need time to mesh, but Peter Skoronski's playing like garbage. Your right side is absolute garbage. Cushenberry isn't all of a sudden this world leader and taking this offensive line and making it something. Latham is a rookie, but there's no other conversation to be had. The offensive line at its core is the reason why you're seeing symptoms across the board. And until you can get that consistent enough to where you can move the ball, then what are we doing here? But it's 4 years in, so I'm looking for what are we doing, coaching or allowing these problems at offensive line?
Thanks so much for your call, Ryan. And that will pretty much wrap up the show.
This is like a 2-day conversation. We'll be back tomorrow, I promise.
Oh, yeah. We've got all week. We'll go inside that locker room. We'll try to ask as many of the hard questions as we can ask if they're in there.
Yeah, if they're in
If they're
there.
willing to talk to us, they've got to talk to us. But,
It's tough.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. We really appreciate everybody today that gave their thoughts. It's been a day. It's been a Reaction Monday. You can continue that next with the Buck Rising Show with our friend Lucas Panzica. They're about to hop in here. We're on our way out, but before that, I think you got some advice today.
I do, especially today. Hey, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always high. Y'all be cool out there, man.